right, let's get into this. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be live streaming for the next 2 hours, talking all things fantasy football related for Week 13 of the 2022 fantasy football season. Thank you guys for joining us over the course of today's episode, live stream. I was going to say episode. I'm going to be answering your guys' questions, whether it is in the chat, whether it's super chat, doesn't really matter. Feel free to send it in either way. If you do send in a question, please be sure to include your scoring format. Otherwise, I'm going to just assume that it's a half PPR and just roll it as such. Outside of that, be sure to click the like button down below. And if you guys have not yet already, of course, check out Prize Picks and use promo code Andrew today when you sign up to get that first time deposit immediately doubled up to $100. We'll, of course, be putting together a couple Prize Pick entries at the middle of today's episode. But outside of that, I said episode again. I don't know why I keep doing that, but either way, we're here. And we're talking all things fantasy football for Week 13. I hope you guys are doing well. Of course, we got a little bit of information as the week has progressed in regards to some injuries, some statuses on a couple certain players, and then there's other players that we're not 100% certain of. First and foremost, the one that I wanted to mention in specific is the player that is currently on the thumbnail of today's video. Deebo Samuel has kind of been a question mark all week long, and based on what Kyle Shanahan had to say, it seems to me like it's most likely in a position where even if he does play, he's going to be limited. So we'll talk about him when we get to rankings, if you guys have any questions regarding Deebo Samuel versus another player, but it's not looking great. All right, let's get into this, shall we? I see there's a couple super chats that were sent in. We'll get to that in just a moment. I just want to go ahead and pop up the chat really quickly and see what we can do here. From the top going down as quickly as I can. Again, there's one of me and there's many of you, so I'm going to try my best to answer your guys' questions. If I'm not able to tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, like we do every Sunday morning, we'll have updated rankings on screen available. We'll talk about rankings, answering questions for that 2-hour span before kickoff on Sunday. So if you guys have any questions, hopefully that will give you the defined factor. Last Sunday morning was an absolute mess in terms of the weather concerns and all of that, and the amount of times I had to go back and forth on ranking players in that Cleveland versus Tampa Bay game. Goodness gracious. It was literally up until probably the last 10 minutes of that stream where I was still updating rankings. So very interesting, but hey, at least we keep it up to date the best we possibly can. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pop up the chat. Michael Barton sent in a question. Michael, again, I appreciate you. Do not send any more donations my way. You've done enough, my man. I appreciate it. Flex 1, Pacheco, White, or Knight this week. Okay, if I'm playing one of these three, I'd rather play Rashad White and then Pacheco second, and then Zonovan Knight third. So Rashad White is my suggestion out of that group. As for Ingram, which would be with an E, or Conklin, as of this week, I'll take Evan Ingram against the Detroit Lions over Tyler Conklin versus the Minnesota Vikings. As much as I like Tyler Conklin, I'm going to have to see a little bit more target utilization and more overall, upside with his given week before I can 100% blindly trust that he's going to have enough fantasy value to be that for me. So at this point, I'll just trust what Ingram has done earlier this season. And your final question was, Zay Jones is, okay, it's more of a statement. Zay Jones is sick. If he plays, would you play him over Rashad White or Zonovan Knight? I would probably play him over Zonovan Knight in a full PPR scoring format. Yeah, that's for sure. All right, thank you, Michael Barton. I appreciate that. In my flex spot, full PPR, Christian Watson, Swift, or Dameon Pierce. Again, I'm of the opinion, guys, that if you have Christian Watson and you have an open available spot, I'm firing him up. I will play Christian Watson until he stops scoring touchdowns and fantasy points. And then at that point, we can have the discussion of potentially sitting him in comparison to other options. But as of right now, I'm fully set there. Steve Rogers, I'm playing Christian Watson out of that group of players. Steve Rogers also said Hurts, Hill, Brown, Eckler. I'm assuming this is your squad. Barkley, Hawkinson with a flex, one of those three. Flex one of those three out of what? I'm assuming these three. Yeah, you're fine. I completely understood that. Yeah. So Christian Watson's my suggestion as of this week in a full PPR scoring format. Thank you. Chase or Walker in the flexes, Reese. Ooh, Chase or Walker, huh? Assuming it's a half PPR scoring format, I'd probably just play Kenneth Walker there. I think it's just a little bit more stability. We're getting a guaranteed fully healthy Walker. We know that Chase is going to play, but we don't know at what capacity. He could be playing 70% of the snaps. He could be playing 50 for all that we know in the given week. Appreciate that. Silver Rapture, says Christian Watson, Dameon Pierce, Pollard, ETN. Please rank this week in a full PPR. Yeah, if I was to play these guys in a full PPR, I would go ETN, Pollard, Watson, and then Pierce last. Thank you. Appreciate you, Andrew. I need one flex out of Jeff Wilson Jr., Raheem Mostert, and Darius Slayton. Kenneth Walker is my other flex play. All right, awesome. So you're playing Kenneth Walker. As for these two running backs, we know that without a doubt in our mind, Jeff Wilson Jr. is by far and away the RB1 and will get majority of the rushing attempts, goal line opportunities, receiving work, and all of that. If Darius Slayton is active and ready to go tomorrow, because I know he missed all of this week's practices, that's what kind of makes me a little bit hesitant on automatically starting him there. So I'm going to pivot and say probably just roll with Jeff Wilson. Yeah, I'd probably just roll with Jeff Wilson. I don't really want to risk it. And considering I don't know what your scoring format is here, I'm going to assume it's half PPR. We'll just go with Wilson in that regard. Thank you. All right, let me go ahead. Let me catch up on some of these super chats that were sent in before we continue on, and I'll update the chat. Chris All-In sends in super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Chris. Says pick one running back and one flex. Patterson, Fournette, Warren, Brian Robinson, Tony Pollard, Xavier Knight, Kira Williams, Gus Edwards, and Treylon Burks. Okay. So here's the thing, interestingly enough. As the week has progressed, Najee Harris has gone from, missing that Monday night second half to potentially even playing tomorrow, which is interesting because Najee Harris, Wednesday and Thursday, did not log any practices, was limited on Friday. There's a chance that he could end up, playing, which obviously decreases the value of a Jaylen Warren and or Spenny Snell in comparison to where we had him earlier this week. Now, as for the remaining cast of players that you have here, Patterson, Fournette, Robinson, Pollard. Okay, so Pollard's number one. I want to play him as that RB1. The next best player in my mind would then be Brian Robinson there. So I will roll with those two. Brian Robinson, Tony Pollard. You're good to go there, Chris. Thank you. Patrick Breaker sends in a super chat. Thank you very much, Patrick. And I like the Thanos logo. It says full PPR, Miles Sanders or Devonta Smith. Against Tennessee's defense, I'm more inclined to play Devonta Smith. I'd much rather roll in that direction. I know Miles Sanders is coming off a massive week, but it was against a very favorable matchup in itself. So I'm leaning in the direction in a full PPR scoring for my going with Smith, who could very easily catch the ball 6 times for 60 yards at a base minimum, get himself 12 fantasy points, where Miles Sanders has to find the end zone in order to accomplish those set of numbers. Thank you. Chris Allen also followed up, said Mike Evans or Treylon Burks. Okay, so this is the thing that we've kind of been monitoring. What was that? This is the news we've been monitoring all week long in regards to Marshawn Lattimore. So as of Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we had Marshawn Lattimore limited in all 3 practices. Does that mean he's going to play? No. Is there a outside chance that he does? Very likely. If he does end up playing, I will take Treylon Burks over Mike Evans. If he doesn't end up playing, Mike Evans is 1,000% to play there. I just want to go ahead and let me see here. When do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play in comparison to the Titans? And is that a conflicting schedule? Yes. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play on Monday. So with that being said, I will go ahead and I will give you my my subjective opinion on the matter. I would just play Treylon Burks against the Philadelphia Eagles. I do not want to risk the 50-50 toss-up, coin toss of Mike Evans versus Marshawn Lattimore if that ends up coming to fruition. So I will play Treylon Burks there this week. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. Trojan 3659 says, standard, high risk / reward, Fields or go with a safe play like Lawrence. Okay. As of right now, I will go with Fields. If he is active in any sort of capacity, he has proven to me already that he can get the job done at a significantly higher rate than majority of the other quarterbacks at the position. So I will take Justin Fields there in comparison to the safe play of Trevor Lawrence. As for your follow-up, start an RB2 in a flex, Barkley, Montgomery, White, Pacheco. At this point, RB2 is Barkley, and the flex is going to be David Montgomery there. Very, very confident in both those options as well. As for streaming a tight end, Kmet, Moreau, and Everett, we're beginning to get on a pace where we're almost starting all of the Bears, but in this specific circumstance, I'll take Foster and Moreau still over Cole Kmet there. It's close, but they're back-to-back in my rankings. I slightly have Foster and Moreau ahead of them at this moment. Thank you very much, Trojan. I appreciate that. Let's see here. We also had another question from Patrick Baker. He said, Andy Dalton, Mike White, or Deshaun Watson to start this week? Ooh. It's between Mike White and Deshaun Watson, purely. I just don't know what to... Man, I'm expecting the Cleveland Browns to run the ball the entire game, quite frankly. And I think we all can anticipate that that's probably going to happen. Now, the question is whether or not, when they get down to the red zone, they open up a little bit of play action and start passing the ball a little bit with Deshaun Watson and letting him kind of get back into, regular season form. That is tough to potentially predict. I'm of the opinion that I'm slowly but surely going and pivoting towards Mike White in this discussion. But for right now, I'll say just wait until tomorrow's stream and we'll have rankings up to date on screen and ready to go. But I think Mike White might be the guy that I'd rather play in that regard, not risking it with Watson on his first game back there. Sean T sends it a question. Says, 12 team, double flex, full PPR, must win game. Okay, start Swift or Pacheco. I'd rather play Pacheco there. Follow up. Also, start 2 between Ayuk, Christian Watson, Palmer, and Treylon Burks. Out of that group of 4 players, I would rather play Ayuk and Christian Watson out of the bunch. Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Nick sends it a question. Says, start 3. We have Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift, Rachaad White, and Najee Harris. So if, in fact, Najee Harris is active, I will play him alongside Rachaad White and Jamal Williams. Considering we have the Pittsburgh Steelers game in the morning, we will know for a fact whether or not he is active or not. So that'll be fantastic by tomorrow morning. But for sure, it's Najee Harris, Rachaad White, and Jamal Williams. We would bench Swift unless, Najee is not active. Thank you. Just get it done. Sends it a super chat. Says, would you rather flex Cooper or Garrett Wilson this week over JT? No, I wouldn't flex either of them over Jonathan Taylor. If I was to predict one to have a better week than the other, I'm beginning to kind of slowly but surely, like I was talking about with Mike White, I'm beginning to move the potential values of those Jets, fantasy options higher than some of these Browns receiving options going into this specific week. So we're getting there, but no, I wouldn't play either of them over Jonathan Taylor. Thank you. Noah sends in a question, says, I need a tight end for this week. Taysom Hill, Tyler Conklin, or Logan Thomas, all poverty tight ends. Yeah, it's pretty rough, but I would go with Tyler Conklin there. Thank you. Tyler says, tough matchup. I need a running back and a flex for a full PPR. Jeff Wilson Jr., Bam Knight, DPJ, Kieran Williams. Okay, so of the group, if it's a half PPR scoring format, I'm probably just going to play Jeff Wilson there. Follow up. We have Gino. You have Tua. Okay, Tua, or do we fade Wilson knowing it's a tough matchup? Is that Gino? Is that what you meant? Actually, probably not. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. There's a lot of punctuation, complete botchery there, Tyler. I don't even know what that means at the end there. Gen Q, have Tua. Do I fade Wilson? I mean, if you have Tua, you just play Tua, right? And you're good to go. James Smith says, half PPR flex, Pittman or Kieran Williams? I will take Michael Pittman Jr. there. As for the follow-up, Cole Kmet or Tyler Conklin, I will take Cole Kmet. Thank you. Let's hear. Corey Dillinger said in the question, said, one running back, one flex, full PPR, Lenny, Rashad, Zonovan, Sutton, Pittman, Warren, Gibson. Out of the group, I'll play Rachaad White as that running back, and I will play Michael Pittman Jr. as your flex. Thank you. Bradley Harris says full PPR, start 2 wide receivers, Lazard, Pickens, Carter, Burks. I'll take Burks and Pickens. Thank you. Start both the rookie guys. Victory has defeated you. Sends in a question, says, Joe Burrow or Deshaun Watson? Absolutely, without a doubt, Joe Burrow. Follow up, Juju Smith-Schuster or Zay Jones this week? As of right now, let me go ahead. Let me see if Juju got a full week of practice in. Let's go to the Chiefs practice schedule here. See what we had from Juju. He was full practice on Thursday and Friday. At that point, yes, I will take Juju over Zay Jones this week. Thank you. All right, we're getting to the chat in just a moment. Just want to catch up on a couple more of these super chats. Terry R says Fields or Tua this week. As of those two, I will 1000% play Justin Fields. Follow up, Brady, Carr, Rodgers, Goff, or Watson. Out of that group of players, I will lean towards the direction of playing Derek Carr. As for Chris Smith's question, he says full PPR. Swift or Watson in the flex? I will play Watson there. As for Geno or Lamar, I will play Lamar Jackson going up against the Denver Broncos defense. Thank you. Chris Allin says, if Mixon is out, I need an RB1. Is it going to be Cordero Patterson, Fournette, Knight, Kieran Williams, or Gus Edwards? If, in fact, Joe Mixon is out and you don't have the ability to go and pick up Samaje Perine and play him, I would play Gus Edwards at that point. Donovan Jordan says QB, Mike White or Fields. I would 1000% play Justin Fields there. Follow up ETN, Knight, or Perine as the RB. Following that up, I would play Travis Etienne. If in fact Joe Mixon is out, we can have a conversation as to where we rank Samaje Perine. He'll definitely be in that like higher end RB2 conversation for sure. Probably ahead of David Montgomery and Jamal Williams as to where my rankings were last week. I don't think he'll be slightly ahead of ETN though. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on. Jimmy Casket. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Jimmy. Says Hollywood Brown or Godwin rest of the season. I'd rather have Chris Godwin 1000% in a full PPR. Thank you. I mean, again, the target volume, the reception upside in terms of a full PPR scoring format significantly is in the advantage of Chris Godwin going forward. Terry R says Cooper, Evans, Miles, or Rachaad White full PPR. Pick one. In a full PPR scoring format out of that group of players, I will just play Amari Cooper. Thank you. Noah follows up, says 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. We need, okay, so of the running backs you have available, you have Dameon Pierce and Rachaad White. I will play Rachaad White there. Follow up, Chase, Debo, Evans, Palmer, and Jameson Williams, I'm assuming is why you referred it as Jay Williams. I know he was activated as of like probably 30 minutes ago or something like that. But out of the group of players you have, I'm playing Chase at wide receiver, and I'm also following that up with playing Palmer at wide receiver. So Chase and Palmer, and then I would flex Pierce. So White, Pierce, Chase, Palmer. I'm benching Debo because of his injury and the statements that Kyle Shanahan made earlier today in regards to his thigh and quad injury not improving as they thought it would have by now, and his slow return in that regard. So we'll lean in that direction. Okay, appreciate you guys being patient with that. I'm gonna go ahead and just hop all the way to the bottom, the most up-to-date chat. Brandon says Tua or Dak this week. I will take Dak Prescott this week in that regard. Thank you. Dameon Pierce, Kenneth Walker, Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, start 3. I will take these 3 options. Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor. They have been extremely consistent at the running back position over the course of the last 3, 4, 5 weeks here now. So there's no point for me to go ahead and pivot in the direction of playing Dameon Pierce, who's in a questionable position as to whether or not he'll find much success. Lester says specials rules, full PPR, half point for quarterback completion. Okay, that's completely unnecessary, but okay, very well. I want to bench Hurts for Mike White. Half a point per quarterback? Yeah, I wouldn't do that. All right, let's say, for example, okay, let's see here. Jalen Hurts. I want to see how many completions he has per game in comparison. So Jalen Hurts, 16, 18, 17, 20. Okay, so let's say, for example, per week in your league, he's getting about 8 to 10 points per game in terms of completions, right? The amount of fantasy points you get there, great, is fantastic. But it's not going to be significantly higher in the direction of Mike White when you take into account that the base value of an already producing rushing upside of Jalen Hurts is significantly higher. I mean, just looking at the last 3 weeks of performances from Jalen Hurts, he has scored 8.8 from rushing. He has scored 14.6 from rushing. And in just this last week, put up 15.7 points from rushing. Those 3 fantasy point contributions just from rushing alone, on top of the fact that in the last 6 weeks, 2, 4, 2, 2, 1, 2 passing touchdowns, I'm 1000% playing Jalen Hurts. Don't get fooled by the Mike White hype at that capacity. Juju or Watson, full PPR, chaos bolt. I would play Christian Watson this week once again. On Vesh at the top was saying half PPR, start 3, Lamb, Kirk, Garrett Wilson, Devonta Smith, Gus, Swift, Warren if Najee sits out. If Najee sits out, we can get into that conversation. But for right now, Lamb, Kirk, and Garrett Wilson seem like absolute automatic plays, without a doubt in my mind. Thank you. Let's see here. Lock Screen Gaming was saying, Andrew, I've donated twice now. It's not showing up. Let me go ahead and check my end here. Yeah, I don't have anything from you, Lock Screen. I can check the backlog because I do have a second way of checking super chats that are sent in. Let me go ahead and just confirm. There may be something with your, I mean, you don't have to donate first and foremost. Like, I'll just answer your question. I don't really, doesn't bother me. I'm here to help you guys as much as I possibly can. It's just a matter of like, if you need to be here quick, get the question answered and get out because you know you got something to do, then yes, we'll take care of that priority. But yeah, I don't have anything from you, lock screen. So if you want, just type it in the chat. I'll get to it. Appreciate it. Thank you. We saw Joel send in a question just right now. Thank you very much. Says Flex, Rashad White, Kieran Williams, Darius Slayton, or DPJ. I will play Rashad White out of that group of players. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Jan also sent in a super chat. Says, hey, Andrew, Fields or Herbert this week? Very good question. At that position, I would rather play Justin Herbert. I have him as my, well, now that Josh Allen is gone out of the week, Josh Allen on Thursday was going to be my number one quarterback on the week. I have Justin Herbert as the highest ranked remaining quarterback to still play this week. Justin Herbert, in the last 4 games, I think the last 3 or 4 games against the Las Vegas Raiders, minimum 3 passing touchdowns in every single one of those games. So he should be an automatic play there. As for your follow-up question there, Jan, ETN or Najee Harris. If Najee Harris is active, I still expect Jalen Warren to dig into his work and it to be a difficult situation there. So I would just play with ETN and just roll it that way. Appreciate it. Daniel Keenan sent in a question, says, it's only my second show. And great work. Only your second show, huh? So you've been around here just newly. Okay, thank you. Welcome. Nico Collins, DeAndre Carter, or Cortland Sutton this week. Okay, so considering we have a confirmation that we will not be seeing Brandon Cook suit up this weekend, that does lead me in the direction of thinking that Nico Collins could be an absolute smash play against that Cleveland secondary. With the absence of Mike Williams, DeAndre Carter becomes more and more of an enticing play. If it's my team going into this week, I'd much rather play DeAndre Carter there. I'll take Carter first. I'll take Sutton second. I'll take Nico Collins third. Thank you. As to your follow-up question, Greg Dulcich or Juwan Johnson, I believe Juwan Johnson has been confirmed that he is going to be out this week. So let me go ahead and confirm that just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Juwan Johnson did not practice Thursday or Friday. And then if I go to my... Let me check here. Let me go to my own fantasy league because somewhere I saw that he was completely he was already deemed out. Yes, he is already out. So via Yahoo, he has already been given the out designation. He is not expected to play on Monday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So in that question that you sent in, Daniel, you would automatically play Dulcich. If you have any other options at tight end, please let me know. I know Dulcich has been very, relatively quiet as of late. But last week when I was watching, or earlier this week when I was watching Week 12's game back between the Broncos and Panthers, Greg Dulcich scores a touchdown in that game. Unfortunately, called back because of offensive holding, but I mean, he was getting those potential red zone targets. Unfortunately, wasn't able to fully deliver on it though. Appreciate it. Okay, let me go ahead. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Josh Williams. Josh, let me go ahead and see if I can track down your question. Let's see here, Josh. Where art thou? Am I crazy? Where's Josh? There's Josh Palmer. Josh Williams. Okay, where art thou? Question, Josh Williams. Josh Williams says, Cousins or Watson this week? Ooh, okay. I just donated, but it didn't let me type in the question. Yeah, I don't know why it does that, Josh, but hey, I got you, my man. Don't worry. At this point, if we're talking about Kirk Cousins or Deshaun Watson, oh, man. The Jets defense scares me, legitimately. But so did the Patriots defense, and we saw what Kirk Cousins did to them. I think it'd probably just be safer to play Kirk Cousins there as of this week. Let's see some of these other questions. Flex, Michael Pittman Jr. or Jeff Wilson Jr. in that half PPR. Okay, it's the junior versus junior competition here, huh? At this point, I'll play Michael Pittman there. The Peoples, 85. Kels22 says, how high are you on Pierce over, White over Pierce? I literally have White one spot ahead of Pierce. Literally one spot. I think as of right now, I think White is number 19 and Pierce is 20, something of that exchange. Yeah, it's really close. Franco Estrada says, Dalvin Cook, Keenan Allen, or Garrett Wilson in the flex this week? Ooh, really good question. I think if you're playing in a half PPR scoring format, it's probably just rolling with Dalvin Cook. He almost scored 2 touchdowns last week. Wasn't able to execute on those. Was 1 yard short of both those rushing attempts, which was definitely unfortunate. But if you're playing in a full PPR, I think I still even run Dalvin Cook. I think there's a lot of upside to be had there. He's got himself 5+ targets in 5 out of the last 6 weeks. Pretty good spot there for Dalvin just to have himself a pretty solid performance. If you're worried about it, the next best option in my mind is then Garrett Wilson, and then Keenan Allen is third. Louis says, full PPR Kittle or Pickens? In a full PPR scoring format, I would just rather play George Kittle there. I know he's been a little bit inconsistent, but this seems like one of those upside weeks with Deebo Samuel obviously being limited. Dameon Pierce or Cortland Sutton in a full PPR. In a full PPR, Cortland Sutton can very easily get himself 6 catches for 70 yards, like he has done over the course of the last 5, no, it's not last 5 weeks, last 3 weeks here. So if he's able to get himself 13, 14 points in a full PPR without really much of a struggle in terms of potential upside, I'll just take I'll just take the Cortland Sutton play there. On the verge of dropping Kamara, dropped Olave and the Chief to add the Chiefs defense. Booger, I have no idea what your team looks like, so this is just a statement. Do what you will, but I would suggest you don't drop Kamara, especially if you have playoff aspirations, because he's got a pretty good schedule throughout those 3 weeks. Appreciate it. Burks, DPJ, Rachaad White, full PPR. At this point in a full PPR, I'm probably still leaning towards Rachaad White at that point. Rachaad White or Isaiah Pacheco in a standard format. In a standard scoring format, I mean, it's close, but I still think I'm rolling with Mr. Rachaad White there. Half PPR, should I drop David Njoku for TDP? I don't know who that is. I have Conklin and Goddard. I think, what is this? Tyrion Davis Price? I'm assuming that's what that is. Are we dropping Njoku for Tyrion Davis Price? You have these two. No, I wouldn't. I think Tevin Coleman's probably the handcuff in that regard. Thank you. Okay. Josh Daniel, thanks for sending in that super chat. I appreciate that. We'll get to that right now. Josh Daniel says, something is telling me to start him based on what I've seen. Would you start Swift over Pacheco? If you have a gut feeling about it, I would roll with it. That's fine. I just prefer the volume of touches that Pacheco is getting within this offense. And, obviously had that red zone touchdown last week, which gives him even more value going forward. As of right now, I just can't trust Swift if he's going to be in a situation where he's only getting 5 or 6 rushing attempts. Sure, he always has touchdown upside. That's a given. He almost scored twice last week, right? One was called back, knee hit short on the 1-yard line. Could have had 3 weeks in a row with a touchdown. So he's very easily in that conversation of getting 10 points. But can he do anything more than that? That's always the question. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Desmond Bailey, thank you very much. Says, Gus Edwards or Kieran Williams? Yeah, we're going all in on Gus Edwards this week. Like I mentioned yesterday in my must-start video, I'm 100% in on the Gus Edwards versus Denver Broncos train. The Denver Broncos in 3 out of the last 4 games have given up 100-plus rushing yards to individual running backs. One ETN, Josh Jacobs, and Deontay Foreman. Derrick Henry didn't have the greatest week of all, but to be honest, the volume in which we have seen Gus Edwards be handed off the ball 16, 11, and 16 times. The 11 attempt week, he left early with a injury. Would have probably had himself a pretty big game there as well. But scored 3 touchdowns in the last 3 games he has played. I'm all in on Gus Edwards there. Kels22 says, Matt Collins, Van Jefferson, Jerry Jeudy, Nico Collins, pick 2. If I'm picking 2 out of this group of 4, I will take Jerry Jeudy and Nico Collins. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Alrighty. Let me go ahead. Let me try to catch up back with the chat. Where art thou, chat? All right. Let's see here. Andrews or Schultz, says Rob. Ooh, that's an interesting one, man. Andrews or Schultz. You kind of just have to play Mark Andrews. Like, if you have to ever consider playing Schultz, just pivot him into the flex, right? I don't know who you have at your flex, but yeah, I think you have to play Andrews in almost every capacity going forward. Andrew, can you scroll up, see my messages? Yeah, let's see you're locked. Where are you at, locked? I don't see your messages, man. Here we go. Let's see here. Full PPR must win out. I have Fields, Mixon, Eckler, Godwin, Lamb, Schultz, Keenan Allen, suck up. Seahawks defense. I got Rachaad White, Travis Etienne, Dak Prescott, and Jameson Williams on the bench. Okay, so Fields over Dak, I'll take that. Mixon, Eckler, you're good to go there. And then you have Godwin, Lamb. Okay, perfectly fine. Schultz, Keenan Allen. Okay, so the only difference, I mean, at this point, the only question is whether we play Keenan Allen or Travis Etienne. That's the only question at this point. In a full PPR scoring format, you're probably doing yourself a favor playing Keenan Allen there. So I'm fine with that. You're good to go. There's nothing really to change their lock screen. Good luck this weekend. Cole Kmet, Tyler Conklin, Robert Tonyan, or Evan Ingram. Terry R., I would play Cole Kmet there. Kieran Williams or Rachaad, I would play Rachaad White there. Gerald, thank you. Or Gerard, excuse me. If Mixon is out, do I start Ryan Kirk or David Montgomery in a full PPR? In a full PPR scoring format, I'm still inclined to play Christian Kirk out of the group, but I would definitely play Ryan over David Montgomery second in that order there, Isaiah. Thank you. Pierce, Sutton, or Kamara, pick 2 in a PPR. That's a nightmare question for me. Can I plead the fifth? Anything related to Kamara is really difficult to answer because I think either way, I probably end up being wrong. If I tell you to start him, he probably ends up putting up 6 points. If I tell you to bench him, he probably goes for 26 points. You know what I mean? I feel like that's always the case for fantasy. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that ever feels that way. But at this point, yeah, if those are the available players, I'm probably in a position where I'm playing Sutton and Kamara. Let's see here. Garrett Wilson or Rachaad White? I'd rather play Garrett Wilson this week. Even in a half, even in a full, I'll take him. What's everyone? I think you meant what's up, everyone. What's up, man? How you doing? Hey, Andrew, where do the Seahawks rank for you? They're in the top 5. Also, where is Muth ranked among tight ends this week? Probably also in that like top 7 conversation. So they're both probably startable in comparison to what you have available on your team. Mitchell Leonard says, Watson, Brady, or Jimmy G, 4-point per passing touchdown league. I will take Jimmy G out of that group of players. Thank you, Mitchell. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and scroll down here. PPR flex, Christian McCaffrey or Chase? I think Sick asked this question last time, and I was a little hesitant on it last time as well. I think I'm still going to go with the answer I gave. I don't know if, Sick, you were the one who actually asked this question on Thursday's stream, but I'm still playing Christian McCaffrey in this regard. Nicholas says, need a flex in a full PPR. Najee Harris, Chase, Olave, Rachaad White, Devonta Smith. Okay, under the assumption, well, no, I don't even care about the assumption. Chase is active. I'm playing him over the group. So he will be active. I will play him in the flex there. Hey, Andrew, pick 2, Pacheco, Gus, White, and Swift. Okay, so if I'm playing 2 out of this group, I will play Rachaad White and Gus Edwards. Thank you. Juan was saying Amari Cooper, DK Metcalf, Alvin Kamara, Keenan Allen, pick 1. If I can only pick 1, it's probably Amari Cooper or DK Metcalf. I'll probably lean towards Amari, though. Appreciate it. Cordero Patterson, Swift, Pacheco, ETN, pick 2 running backs. I will take ETN and I'll take Pacheco there. Let's see here. Can you scroll up? Yeah, let's see here. Standard, Gus Edwards, or Tony Pollard? Ooh, good question. The standard format, which of the 2 do I prefer? Man, at this point, I think I might just play Gus Edwards. I'm not even joking. I think Gus Edwards might be the role there. And then as for Devonta Smith or Michael Pittman Jr., I'll take Michael Pittman there. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, let me see if I had any super chats that were sent in here. Just want to make sure that we're caught up. I did have a couple sent in. Let me go ahead and address them really quickly. All right, so as for the super chats, Frank Grillo sends in a question. Thank you very much, Frank. I appreciate that. Says, Dak or Herbert? I will take Herbert there as the starting quarterback. Hurts or Lamar for a different league? I'll take Jalen Hurts there. As for defenses, Browns or Cowboys? I will take... I have the Cowboys ranked higher. I'll take the Cowboys. Seahawks or Browns? I have the Seahawks ahead of the Browns. Actually, do I have the Seahawks ahead? Yes, I do. I believe I do. Let me check here. Patreon rankings. As for defenses, right? I have it ranked as Baltimore, Dallas, Seattle, New York, Tampa Bay, Cleveland, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Minnesota, or Pittsburgh, Minnesota. So in that order. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And then as for your follow-up questions, Pierce or Swift, I'll take Pierce over Swift, and I will take Devonta Smith or Zay Jones. Good question. I'll probably play Devonta Smith there. Thank you. Luis Castillo says, half PPR. Win to hold my playoff spot, starting Hill, Cooper, and Christian Watson. Great. I have Ayuk and Scary Terry on my bench. Who do I start? Out of those 2? Ooh, okay. This is what I will say. If Deebo Samuel is active tomorrow, I will play Terry McLaurin. If he is not active tomorrow, I will absolutely play Brandon Ayuk. So that is the pivot. Otherwise, I'm starting the 3 that you primarily already have in position. So if we're just talking about a flex play out of those 2, bench wide receivers, that's the conversation. Otherwise, if it's those 2 guys along with the 3 that you're already starting, I just play the 3 that you've already got on roster. Thank you. Or, in the starting position. Green sends in a question, says, Amari Cooper, Christian Watson, Deontay Johnson, or Treylon Burks. Pick 3 wide receivers. Yeah, I will go ahead and bench Deontay. I will play Amari Cooper, Watson, and Burks there. As for your follow-up question, 49ers or Chiefs defense this week. The Chiefs take on Cincinnati. So this is a rest of season question. My apologies. Rest of season, well, let me see here. What does that 49er strength of schedule look like in the playoffs? Let me actually go find my Excel sheet. So the 49ers, weeks 15 through 17, have Seattle, Washington, and Las Vegas. To be totally honest, I don't mind either of them. I think there's just an objective enhanced value with playing up against Houston and Denver in 2 out of those 3 weeks that gives me, the slight edge looking in the direction of playing that Kansas City Chiefs defense. But as of right now, I'm not 100% bought in on it. I think the 49ers defense has been so good as of late that you don't really have to drop them or mess around with that in any sort of capacity. You could just fire them up every single game for the remainder of the season and be fine. I mean, they're literally, I think they're only giving up about 15.7 points per game as a defense. So they're the best in terms of that statistic, and going forward will probably continue to dominate in that regard. Let me just see the 49ers defensive points as of late. 15, 11, 6. I mean, yeah, the last 3, I mean, they shut out the opposing offenses last week. So for fantasy playoff purposes, I'd probably say it is the Chiefs. But if you're just holding for the rest of the season, including week 14 and this week, I would probably say just stick with the 49ers. If you're in that win to get in scenario, you probably want to hold the 49ers. Instead of hey, I've already clinched the playoffs. What am I looking to kind of put together on my roster? At that point, you would just put, you would put the Chiefs defense on your roster. If you guys want, more, suggestions as such, this video down on the bottom right was something that I posted on Thursday. It has that entire conversation as to which defenses I prefer in the fantasy playoffs, which players I prefer based on their strength of schedule and all that kind of jazz. So if you guys haven't checked that out already, be sure to do so. I want to thank you guys for joining us this afternoon. Again, we're answering questions for the next hour and 20 minutes here on the channel. If you don't get your question answered, I apologize in advance. Of course, there's one of me and many of you, so I'll try my best to go ahead and answer those. If in fact I'm not able to answer it directly, hopefully by proxy of answering someone else's question, I can get to your answer. Otherwise, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, kickoff with Kickoff. We'll have up-to-date rankings on screen available, so we can go ahead and get you guys ready to go, setting your lineups for week 13, and hopefully winning to get you guys into the playoffs if you have not yet already made said playoffs. Okay, a couple more super chats that were sent in that I need to address. Joe sends in a question. Joe says, in a full PPR, I'm 11-1. Thank you, Andrew. Pick one. Well, if you're 11-1, it doesn't really matter who you play. So at this point, what are we talking about? But yeah, no, in reality, if you're playing Lamar or Trevor Lawrence, I'd rather have Lamar this week. As for Evans, Lazard, Thielen, or Pickens this week at wide receiver, I'll take Pickens out of the group. And then probably play Thielen second and Evans third and Lazard fourth. Thank you. Mr. Tres 05 says, crazy, I'm thinking about playing Mike White over Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I think you're crazy for doing that. Hey, could you be correct? Absolutely. There is no, complete, objective truth to any of the predictions I make, right? I am, again, making predictions based off of statistics, history, and potential for upside, right? Opportunities, matchups, variables as such, health, in terms of injuries. So the variables that I take into account lean me in the direction of playing Lamar Jackson. Now, it doesn't mean that Mike White doesn't end up coming out and scoring, more than majority of the quarterbacks just like he did last week. Certainly is in the realm of possibility, but I just rather play my stud Lamar in that regard. As for your follow-up question, A.J. Dillon, Gus Edwards, Samaje Perine, Jalen Warren, JaMychal Hasty. This is what I'll tell you, Mr. Tres 05. I would much rather... Okay, so if in fact Joe Mixon does not play tomorrow, I will play Samaje Perine over the group. If in fact Mixon does play, and we see Najee Harris miss tomorrow, I will play Jalen Warren over the group. Now, if Najee Harris plays and Joe Mixon plays, at that point you would play Gus Edwards, okay? So you got a pretty shuffled up team there, but that's what I'm approaching with. Josh Williams says ETN or Lockett this week in the flex. I will take ETN there. Again, he practiced fully. The coaching staff said he's good to go. I'm all in on that. Lockett has scored a touchdown in each of the last 4 games. Again, high upside, high volatility. If he doesn't score, could be, super brutal to our overall upside. I wouldn't blame you for wanting to continue that streak and just fire him up. But I will take ETN. Sal sends in a question. Thank you very much, Sal. I appreciate that. Says, Start 3, Jamal Williams, Damian Pierce, Rashad White, Josh Palmer, half PPR. Okay, so if we're starting 3 out of that group of 4 players in a half PPR scoring format, I think I'm starting, yeah. I'm going to play Jamal Williams. I'm going to play Rashad White. I'm going to play Josh Palmer there. Thank you. As for the follow-up, Fields or Lawrence, I will take Justin Fields there. Sal, appreciate it. David A says, full PPR, Palmer, Sanders, Rashad White. Out of those group of players, I will play Josh Palmer this week. Thank you. Bald God, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Says Christian Watson, Cordero Patterson, or George Pickens in a full PPR. Yeah, again, I'm going to play Christian Watson until he stops scoring for fantasy points. If and when he stops scoring fantasy points, then we can come back down to earth and, kind of balance out his overall ranking. But as of right now, he's got way too much upside. In a singular play, he can make his single fantasy week. 1 catch for 40 yards and a touchdown is all it really takes. And this guy's probably better than the rest of the field that we're talking about here. So I'll take Christian Watson there. Thank you. Green says, thankful for your advice. Sticking with the 49ers. Thank you. Appreciate it. Kinger says, hey, Andrew, thanks for the advice. Full PPR. We have a proper dilemma here. Okay, proper, huh? Who says that? We have a proper dilemma? Almost sounds like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, start 5. 5 out of the potential 6 players. We have 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a single flex that we have to fill in here. Okay, so of the players that you have, Walker, JT, Aaron Jones, Waddle, Kirk, and Garrett Wilson. I don't like where the answer is going, but I think we're going to have to just play our studs, right? Walker and Jonathan Taylor, RB1, RB2, Aaron Jones in your flex. You play Kirk and Waddle, and you sit Garrett Wilson. And as brutal as that sounds, it is probably is the way that it has to be. Yeah, that's the direction I'm going in there, King. Thank you. XD4325 says, I'm in a 10-team league. Fields, Watson. I'll play Fields there, absolutely. We have Christian McCaffrey, Mixon, Pierce, Chase, Diggs, Hill, Palmer, Garrett Wilson. I almost said Gilson. We have Kittle. Do I start Fields or Watson? So yes, we're going to absolutely start Fields. As to the follow-up, do I drop Palmer for Jameson Williams? Man, that's actually, I'm beginning to think else. Oh man. Drop Pierce for Miles Sanders? Yes, you should drop Damian Pierce for Miles Sanders. Any trades to make Mixon scares me the rest of the season? I mean, you can technically try to move Mixon and try to acquire someone. Again, in this video, if you go check this one out right here in the bottom right, earlier this week I posted it on the channel. It'll give you an idea as to which running backs do you probably want to have on roster based on strength of schedule, whether it's guys like Dalvin Cook, whether it's guys like Jonathan Taylor, specifically Derrick Henry, of course, will probably win many people championships this season. We'll give you an idea as to what you can move Mixon for going forward. But as of right now, as for your team in this week's specific matchup, do I want to drop somebody for Jameson Williams? Probably not. I think I'm keeping Palmer and just waiting. I know Mike Williams will eventually return, but yeah, you don't even have to play Palmer this week technically. So you're in a standard league. Yeah, I'm probably still keeping Palmer there though. Thank you. Dev sends in a question. Says half PPR, Tua or Deshaun Watson. I'll play Tua there. Follow up, Zay Jones, Juju, or Palmer. I'll take Joshua Palmer out of the group. Thank you. Tres Seto Cinco says another league. Pick one. Jimmy G. We have Mike White or Kirk Cousins. I will take Jimmy G out of the group there. Thank you. Nathan Salazar says Burks, Elijah Moore, or Donovan Peoples-Jones in a full PPR. I'll play Treylon Burks there first. I'll play DPJ second and Elijah Moore third. Thank you. AMC Machine says DPJ, Elijah Moore, or Deontay Johnson. Half PPR this week in the flex. I will play DPJ in the flex there. Follow up. Can Elijah Moore be a startable rest of season option? Yes, he could be startable, but he's got to play more. Considering they moved him into the slot position, there is a lot of contention with Braxton Berrios getting snaps and, of course, a little bit more of a rotation there. And, of course, we know that Mike White likes to target running backs out of his backfield, so it's typically going to take away from his potential value. So for right now, yes, we're going to play DPJ, but he could have value. Again, we've seen him do it last season, but he didn't have Garrett Wilson on the field, taking away a lot of those opportunities. Leo sends in a question. Says PPR, Pollard, Lockett, or Zonovan Knight this week. If I'm picking 2 out of those 3 options, it's 1,000% Pollard and Lockett. You're good to go there. Thank you. Alrighty. Let me go ahead. Let me get the chat back up on screen, and then we'll get back to answering some of these questions. I appreciate you guys sending in those super chats, supporting the channel in that regard. It's greatly appreciated. You guys keeping these very bright lights on for me for the entirety of the season. I appreciate that, guys. All right, let's go ahead and get the YouTube chat up there. And let's, okay, goodness gracious, we'll get to those in a second. Wideouts, I have Chase, Waddle, Cooper, and Garrett Wilson. Which three do I start? At this point, Ben, Ben, you're in a situation here where all of a sudden in just 1 week, I mean, last week you knew exactly you're going to start Waddle and Cooper, and they both played well. Boom, you're good to go. But now we're in a situation here, Ben, where it is, it's a tough decision to make. And quite frankly, at this point, I have to start Chase and Waddle. I think Cooper is the coin toss out of the group between him and Garrett Wilson. I'll lean towards Cooper. But, man, it is tough for me to sit Garrett Wilson, man. It is tough. But you might have to do it. It's a blessing and a curse to have that good of a team. Drop DJ Chark for Corey Davis. Yeah, I would. Absolutely. Let's hear. Elliot says, hey, I love the channel, but I have a problem, LOL. I have Taylor, Fournette, Mostert available for the week, but I'm worried about Fournette. Should I pick up Gus the Bus and slide him in instead? Yes, I would. Elliot, that is 100% my suggestion at this point. Considering Fournette is most likely going to be playing second fiddle in the running game in comparison to Rachaad White, coming off the injury, coming off the fact that Rachaad White had an incredible week on the ground and through the air, they're going to begin to really feature him more and more. They don't have to run Lenny into the ground every single week like they used to. And Rachaad White could absolutely carry the mantle going forward. So in that case, I would much rather play Gus the Bus Edwards. I have him significantly higher ranked in comparison going into the week. Thank you. Burrow over Herbert this week. No, I have Herbert ahead of him. Again, like I was mentioning before, let me just confirm. Let's see here. Justin Herbert. So we have Justin Herbert going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. In the last 3 games, actually, you know what? Throughout his entire career, no, it's actually the last 4 games. In the last 4 games against this defense, 3 touchdowns minimum in each of those games. Again, 341 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 222, 3 touchdowns, 383, 3 touchdowns, 279, 3 touchdowns. A couple games where he had a sprinkle of rushing opportunity. But ultimately, if you're going to guarantee me 250, maybe 270 passing yards, 275 passing yards, right? In terms of fantasy purposes, what is that? 11 fantasy points, and then you add 3 touchdowns on top of it, which is an additional 12. We're in that 24-point category with potential upside for even more. Yeah, I'll take the stud Justin Herbert there. I know that the matchup for Joe Burrow is also great, but Herbert's an automatic in that matchup. That's why I'm so high on Keenan Allen, Joshua Palmer in this given week, for those of you who are wondering. Sanders, Pacheco, and Knight. I'll take Sanders and Pacheco this week. I think Knight is going to be fine, but I think that Ty Johnson actually gets more work than we potentially anticipate. I think Ty Johnson could even outscore him in this given week. DS Vision says full PPR, pick 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. We have Lamb, Watson, Palmer, and Godwin. Or Godwin. Also, should I start? Okay, so let's figure this out first and foremost, right? Out of this group of players, 2 wide receivers would be Lamb and Godwin, and then your flex is Christian Watson. Again, I'm starting him until he stops scoring points. As for your follow-up, start the Eagles or Seahawks defense this week. I currently prefer playing the Seahawks defense this week. Thank you. Pittman or Pierce? Full PPR, I'll take Michael Pittman Jr. Thoughts on the Jets wide receivers? Would you play Corey Davis or Elijah Moore? I would play Corey Davis as of this week in comparison. Elliot says, or play Mostert. No. I'd much rather play Gus Edwards in this regard. Elliot, you're good to go there, my man. Kira Williams or Latavius Murray? This one's kind of shuffled around in my brain for quite some time. I'm probably leaning towards just playing Kieran Williams there. Thank you. All right, so let me see here. There was a couple donations that were sent in. Let me go ahead and catch up to those. We had Joshua Wilkins. Thank you very much. Says, is Kupp droppable at this point? I believe so. I think if you need an IR spot, or even if you don't have an IR spot available, I think Kupp is droppable, considering they sent, Matthew Stafford to the injured reserve. That is the final nail in the coffin, the proverbial coffin of the Rams season. They are done. They're packing it in, and they are preparing for, literally what their entire coaching staff is probably doing right now, besides, the main guys that have to call plays on a weekly basis in order to keep their job for the future, or try to get future, coaching hires in, for different teams. A lot of that organization is probably preparing for the NFL draft. They are scouting and they're getting ready for it. And they're getting ready to potentially move some money around and bring in some free agents. And try to redo this thing next year, which was an absolute mess this season. All right. Let's see here. Kate Pereira sends in a question. Says, great content, Andrew. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Says, standard league. I need one running back as Stevenson already played. Okay, so of the following, do I start Najee Harris, Jeff Wilson Jr., or Rachaad White? If Najee Harris is active, he would be the starter out of the group. If he is not, then you would pivot to Rachaad White. Follow up, you need 2 wide receivers. A.J. Brown, Olave, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, or grab Joshua Palmer off the waivers. I am confident in playing A.J. Brown there and Christian Kirk. You're good to go. So again, it's Najee if he's healthy and playing. If he's active, we play him with A.J. Brown and Christian Kirk. If he is not, then you would just replace Najee Harris with Rachaad White. Appreciate it. Joel Gonzalez says, start 2. Garrett Wilson, Fournette, Najee Harris. If Najee Harris is active tomorrow against the Falcons, I will play him with Garrett Wilson this week. Thank you. RR says, Watson or pick up Lawrence at quarterback. I would much rather play Trevor Lawrence this week at quarterback against Detroit. Full PPR. If so, who do I drop? Watson, Tyrion Davis-Price, Sutton, or Bam Knight? I would drop Tyrion Davis-Price. Thank you. Mark sends in a question. Says, should I trade Jamison Williams for Samaje Perine? Do you have Mixon? If you do, I would consider that highly, especially if you already have a stable group of wide receivers and you can just ensure that you have your handcuff for the fantasy playoff push. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, let me go ahead. Let me catch up on some of these questions. Pacheco or Olave in a full PPR? In a full PPR, I would probably play Olave there. Any concerns from Christian McCaffrey will still be in a committee? I don't think so, mainly because, well, okay, is a committee going to exist? No. Not at the highest capacity at which it was. I don't believe, based on what Kyle Shanahan has presented over the course of this entire season, that he trusts Tyrion Davis-Price or George Mason to an extent to where they can come in and immediately take away workload at a high enough capacity to impact Christian McCaffrey's overall upside. So in that regard, I'm in a position where I'm thinking, yeah, there's a chance that Christian McCaffrey probably carries the ball 14 times tomorrow and then gets himself whatever receiving work. And yes, will Tyrion Davis-Price or George Mason probably get themselves, 3-4 carries each? Sure, that'll probably happen, but it's not going to be like, Elijah Mitchell coming out getting 12 carries and Deebo Samuel getting 5 himself. It's not going to be that much of an impact on the factor. Do you expect Josh Jacobs to play? Harry, I do. I do expect him to play. Again, just like last week, even though he was on the injury report, we expected him to play, and he played a lot better than we thought. I'll tell you that much. Did we answer this question already? Yeah, we already did that. Okay. What tier do you put Jamison Williams at now that he's playing? Roll the dice with him this week? No, absolutely not. I would probably have him as a wide receiver, like low-end wide receiver 4, high-end wide receiver 5. So basically what that means is he is ranked like 40 through 48 or like 49 through 56, something like that, something of that range. But I don't trust them over guys like Corey Davis this week. I don't think I can trust playing him blindly. I know he's a talented player. I've seen him play in college. I've done my fair share of research from this offseason in terms of looking at rookies, but I don't know if I can just blindly trust him going into this weekend's matchup. Rachaad White or Pierce? I'll take Rachaad White there this week. Sorry if I missed you answering this already. I'm at work, no problem, Bo. You're good to go. But Zay Jones, Deontay Johnson, or Swift? Yeah, at this point, this week, in a half PPR scoring format, out of these 3 players, I would much rather play Zay Jones. In a full PPR, it's even more of an enhanced favoritism towards Zay Jones in that regard. But for right now, I'll take Zay in a half. Thank you. Gorilla Kid says, pick 3. D-Hop is on bye. Kadarius Toney's out. Benched Myers. We have Garrett Wilson, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Juju, Christian Watson, and Josh Palmer. Out of the group of players that you've mentioned, I'll play Garrett Wilson first and foremost, Christian Watson second, and then I'll follow that up with it's either Juju or Palmer. I will most likely lean towards playing Juju Smith-Schuster. Thank you. Half PPR, Jimmy G or Watson. I'll take Jimmy G there. Full PPR, start Mike Evans or Zeke Elliott in the flex position. I will play Zeke Elliott without a doubt in my mind. Again, like I talked about earlier this week, Mike Evans has only had 1 game of over 10 fantasy points in the last 9 performances against Marshawn Lattimore. On top of it, Zeke in his last 4 games has put up 15 plus fantasy points in each of the last 4 games. I know he's scoring a lot of touchdowns, so he's not slowing down. Geno over Mike White would be my suggestion, true gentlemen. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. Judy is healthy, or Slayton in a half PPR. If I'm picking between the 2 options, I will most likely play Jerry Judy this week. Would you drop Van Jefferson for Corey Davis? Yeah, I would. Yeah. I think there's a higher upside of that team being forced to pass the ball. Do you know what I mean? MVS or Komet in a full PPR? I don't like either in a full PPR, to be totally honest. MVS doesn't get enough utilization, so at that point, if we're just looking for touchdown upside, we go with Komet there. Gus Edwards or Bam White? Bam White? Or do you mean Bam Knight? So at this point, I'm just going to go Gus Edwards there. Do you think James Robinson will have a role? Based on the interview that I saw with Robert Saleh, the head coach of the New York Jets, he did say that we haven't seen the last of James Robinson this week, but declined to say whether or not James Robinson was even going to play this week. So I'm assuming that they're going to play Bam Knight and Ty Johnson exclusively this week. And if they activate James Robinson, it'd be a surprise. So for right now, we'll just play Gus Edwards. You're fine. Debo or Garrett Wilson? It's 100% Garrett Wilson. Dulcich, Taysom, or Moreau? I'll 1,000% play Moreau. Full PPR. Do we worry about Pacheco getting less now that McKinnon is back? McKinnon was active last week. What are we talking about? I'm very confused in regards to that question. Who do I put in the flex? Henry, McCaffrey, or CD? None of them. Bench them all. I mean, if this is a legitimate question and we're asking straight up half PPR, which of those three are we playing? In a half PPR scoring format, I'd play Henry. In a full PPR, I would play CeeDee Lamb. T. Higgins or Amari Cooper full PPR, I'll play T. Higgins this week. McLaurin, Palmer, Zay Jones, Pickens, I'll play McLaurin this week. Cool. Let's see here. Jamal Williams or Garrett Wilson, half PPR? Great question. I probably end up... Man, they play the Jaguars. That's a tough one. I probably end up playing Jamal Williams because of how consistent he has been over the course of the last month. Just off that consistency, I know he's going to fall into the end zone and get me at least 12 points. So I'll roll with Jamal there and a half. Can Saquon bounce back this week or rest of season? It's going to be tough, man. That Washington front seven is one of the best in the league. And on top of it, they have, I think, yeah, they have one of the best D-lines in the league, purely. And you get Chase Young back potentially. It's going to be a really tough week for Saquon Barkley to have an immediate bounce back. So he has to take on Washington now, goes on a bye week, then takes on Washington again. I think this is probably a situation where I'm looking to trade Saquon if I need a win to get in. Because again, you'll be... Wait. Is he missing in week 14? Can someone confirm that? Maybe I'm crazy. But I'm fairly certain. Maybe he's not missing in week 14. No. I think it's Washington that has a bye in week 14, and that's what I've gotten confused. Let me confirm this. Because I'm pretty sure they've already had their bye week. Yeah. They play against the Eagles the following week. Okay. So at that point, you're okay. You can live with that. But again, those two Washington matchups are disastrous. I don't know why I was confused. Yeah, it's Washington who has the week 14 bye. You know there's 6 teams on bye in week 14? They just had literally no teams on bye in week 14. And in a couple weeks prior to that, they only had the Chiefs and the Chargers on a bye in week, I don't know. Like, what was it, 10, 9? I don't even remember. I don't understand why they don't even out bye weeks. Why do we have to have a bye-pocalypse in week 14 for fantasy purposes? It's going to be a disaster next week. I can already feel it in the fantasy force. All right, let me get back to some of these donation questions that were just sent in via Super Chat. Do appreciate you guys sending those in, supporting the channel in that regard. We had Nathan Salazar say Evan Ingram or Tyler Higbee this week. I'll play Evan Ingram. Follow up, we had Mark send in the question, says, should I start Jameson Williams should I trade Jameson? Okay, we already took care of that. Jesus, Black Jesus says, need flex, full PPR, Keenan Allen or Garrett Wilson. All right, Black Jesus, if I'm playing one out of the two in a full PPR, I would much rather play Garrett Wilson. Thank you. D. Porter says, hi, Andrew. Start 2, full PPR, Palmer, Pickens, London. I will play Palmer and Pickens 1,000%. Joel Garza says, Christian Watson, Waddle, Kenneth Walker, full PPR. If I'm playing one out of the 3, I'm playing Jalen Waddle out of the bunch. Thank you. Rockout says, do I bump Brian Robinson over Pacheco if Gibson doesn't play? I have Brian Robinson over Pacheco even if Gibson plays. So the answer would be yes to your question. Thank you. I saw Jabo send in a question. Let me see here. Where are you in my chat, Jabo? All right, J-Bo. J-Bo says, Debo or Garrett Wilson? Yeah, we already answered this, J-Bo, but maybe you didn't hear it. Garrett Wilson over Debo and Moreau over the rest of the tight ends there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Sad face. What's going on here? 4x try. Okay, so this is your 4th try. Okay, here we go. Mike White or Derek Carr? I'll play Derek Carr there. Again, guys, if I'm not able to answer your question, apologies in advance. The entire, me answering questions back and forth, it's going to be tough. And I'm probably going to not get to probably 50% of you. That's why Sunday mornings from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Andrew's always live streaming on the channel with up-to-date rankings on screen. I will have my top 36 and running backs and wide receivers up-to-date on screen. I'll have my top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends on screen. And we'll even talk about top 10 kickers and defenses tomorrow. So be sure to tune in. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. But yes, Derek Carr there. Najee Harris or Pierce? If Pierce is active, I'll play him. Pick 2, Lenny, Rashad White, or Murray. I'll play both these guys. I'll bench Murray. Antonio Gibson or Elijah Moore? Oh, give me Antonio Gibson. Joe Mixon or Christian Watson in the flex this week? If Joe Mixon's active, I'll play him. And if Mixon is out, would you play P. Ryan? Yes, I would still at that point play Samaje P. Ryan over Christian Watson. Let's see here. Cordero Patterson, Jamal Williams, or Debo? Jamal Williams. Again, Debo and Cordero haven't done anything for the last month. Jamal's been far too consistent for you to turn your back on him now. Evans, Jeff Wilson Jr. or Palmer? Pick 2. I will play these two. Give me Jeff Wilson and give me Palmer. I'm benching Evans because I'm expecting Marshawn Lattimore to play. Half PPR, super flex, Brian Robinson, Zay Jones, or P. Ryan. If Mixon doesn't go, if Mixon doesn't go, I play Samaje P. Ryan. Outside of that, I play Brian Robinson. Thank you. Dak or Watson? I'll take Dak this week, Josiah. Olave or Christian Watson? I'll take Christian Watson. Thoughts on Gibson and Mostert? Gibson, if he's healthy, I know he's been dealing with a foot injury, should be fine. Mostert's going to be in a really tough matchup. I know it's a revenge game technically against his former team, but it's going to be tough there. First time I've been answered. I apologize, man. That's unfortunate. My apologies again. If I could literally answer everyone's question, I would. Quite frankly, I would. That would be my goal. But I would probably be here for hours on end. So if I could afford that time and the other commitments that I have in life, I would be able to commit it here, but fortunately not able to. That's why we have those Sunday rankings, right? Appreciate it. Hey Andrew, which DST would you start, Dallas or New England? Well, New England already played this week, so are we talking about rest of season? If we're talking rest of season, I'll take the Dallas Cowboys. Kieran Williams or Rashad White? I'll take Rashad White there. Okay, Donovan Knight or Jeff Wilson Jr.? I'll take Jeff Wilson this week. Half PPR, Keenan, Kamara, Jeff Wilson, or Christian Watson? Out of that group of players, it's Christian Watson first and foremost in a half PPR. Second would be Keenan Allen, and then Kamara, and then Jeff Wilson third and fourth. Appreciate it. Is Amon-Ra good? Sorry, is Amon-Ra going to be affected by Jameson Williams back? If anything, it positively affects his overall potential of upside. Because if Jameson Williams can stretch defenses and pull two cover, like double coverage, or force defenses to sit in a cover 2 shell, it'll continue to expand the defense and allow more zone pockets for Amon-Ra St. Brown to find himself open. So yeah, I think it only helps him. And if anything, another receiving option outside of, Josh Reynolds and or DJ Chark that could actually move the chains on a consistent basis, hopefully, only helps them get down in the red zone more and potentially more touchdowns for Amon-Ra. Thank you. Rockout sends in a question, says, we already took care of that question. Appreciate that. Ninja Turtle sends in a question, says, Fields or Lamar this week at quarterback? I'll take Fields. Follow up, Patterson or Brian Robinson? I'll take Brian Robinson. Ayuk, Godwin, Evans, and Cooper. Which one of those am I playing at the flex? Okay, if we have to play one of those, I'm playing Godwin. And then if I have to pick another one, it would be then playing Amari Cooper. So Godwin and Cooper are the 1 and 2 there. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Ninja Turtle. Rockstar sent in a super chat. Let me see where you're at right here, Rockstar. Rockstar. I don't see anything from Rockstar. I spelt it right. So here we are. So Rockstar says, My bad. Chase or Swift in the flex? 1,000% playing Chase this week. Thank you. What receiver should I try to get for Mike Williams and Tua? Oof. I don't know what you can get for trading Mike Williams at this point. I think best case scenario would probably be, my goodness, buying low on Mike Evans, legitimately. Like, I'm not even joking. You might even be able to just get that 1-for-1 for Mike Williams. If Mixon plays, pick 3, Mixon, P. Ryan, Lazard. If Mixon plays, pick 3. Well, if Mixon plays, you don't play P. Ryan and you start the rest of the gang, right? But if he doesn't, then you play P. Ryan instead. Appreciate it. Will J says Najee, Pollard, or Williams. Out of this group, if Najee's healthy, I will give him the start. Outside of that, it's probably Jamal Williams there. Watson or Fields? I'll take Fields this week. Thank you. Alrighty. Hold James Cook or drop for Alexander Madison. I will pick up Madison rest of the season. Especially if I'm a Dalvin Cook manager. Appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see here. Jonathan says, people be asking dumb questions. I don't think any question is dumb. I mean, again, you got to understand it this way, Jonathan, right? Not as many people spend as much time potentially looking at fantasy as you and I, perhaps, right? So if they don't look at fantasy as much and they don't know as much technically, right? In terms of injury news, in terms of snap counts, in terms of overall target percentages, air yards, all these different metrics that I utilize in order to give them my suggestions. Again, I don't blame people for asking questions. If anything, I'm happy they're asking questions, right? Because so we can have a dialogue here, discussion regarding these kind of players. Let's see here. Is Brian Robinson a good flex over Antonio Brown sitting? Are we talking about Antonio Brown or Antonio Gibson? I think you meant Gibson. I was like, wait a minute. What's going on here? Knight or Kieran Williams? I'll take Knight this week. Nico Collins or DPJ? I'll take DPJ this week. P. Ryan or Bam? If Mixon's out, then I'll take P. Ryan. Otherwise, I'm playing Bam. Thank you. Boyd, DeAndre Carter, or Hollins? I'll take DeAndre Carter there, Dre. AJ Dillon or Kareem Hunt? I'll take Kareem Hunt. Jeff Wilson or DeAndre Swift this week in the flex full PPR. In a full PPR, I'll take DeAndre Swift. Keenan Allen or Jamal Williams in the flex? I'll take Jamal. Jamal Williams, Damian Pierce, Josh Palmer, or Michael Pittman, half PPR, Jamal Williams. Alrighty. Let's see here. What do we have? A couple more donations sent in via Super Chat. Thank you very much. Will J says, okay, so we took care of Will J's question. Again, we're playing Najee if he's active. If he's not, we pivot to Jamal Williams. Anthony sent in something, but there wasn't a message attached to it. We'll get to that in a second. Rockout says, what does this say? Who do I drop? Mike White or Derek Carr? Carr, I got matched up this week, but I think Mike White has a better playoff schedule. Mike White, technically, in terms of statistics, has a playoff schedule that is more advantageous to him. Do I have to? If you have to drop one, I'm probably dropping Mike White. Again, 1 week isn't enough to convince me. Derek Carr's been doing it all season long for the last couple seasons. Rob Zen08 says PPR, one running back, one flex, White, Fournette, P. Ryan, Schultz. The flex is going to be Dalton Schultz. The running back is going to be Rachaad White unless Joe Mixon misses. If Joe Mixon does not clear concussion protocol, you play P. Ryan there. Thank you. Anthony, let's see where your question was, my man. Anthony says PPR, Olave, Garrett Wilson, Pittman in a pick 2 situation, full PPR. In this scenario, Garrett Wilson 1000% is the number one. As for who I pivot with, I am a little bit worried about Trayvon Diggs up against Michael Pittman Jr. So at that point, I will just pivot to playing Olave second. So I'll go with these two. Thank you. Lazard or Kieran Williams, full PPR. I'll take Kieran Williams. Amon-Ra St. Brown or David Montgomery in a standard. In a standard scoring format, I'm probably playing. Ooh, wow. Yeah, I think I'm going to play David Montgomery there, to be totally honest. RB2 Pacheco or Fournette PPR. I'll take Pacheco there. Do I start Jones over Christian McCaffrey and Henry in a full PPR? Aaron Jones over Christian McCaffrey? Yes. Over Henry? Probably not, but I think I'm playing him over McCaffrey this week. How many points do you think in a half PPR A.J. Brown is scoring this week? I would probably venture to say something above 16. in a half PPR. Patterson, Swift, or Pacheco? Patterson, Swift, Pacheco, full PPR. It's probably Pacheco first, Patterson second, Swift third. Look, as much as I'd love to be able to, with my chest, say Swift is going to be the better player this week, guys, I just can't objectively do that. It is unfortunate how we've gotten to this position in comparison to how talented he is. But quite frankly, I don't trust him based on the volume of opportunity he continues to get, despite being a full participant in practice for the last 3 weeks straight now. Hector Gonzalez says, Pacheco, Rashad White, Murray, Sutton. If I'm playing one out of the group, it's going to be Rashad White. Kamara, Pacheco, Christian Watson, pick 2. Kamara and Christian Watson. Van Jefferson, MVS, or Kareem Hunt in a PPR format. I think I'm playing Kareem Hunt there. Trevor or Tua? Tua. Palmer or Cooper, half PPR, Cooper. Let's see here. Keenan Allen, Garrett Wilson. I'm assuming you meant Garrett Wilson, not Williams. Jamal Williams. Safer play in a PPR, start 2. If we're looking for safer plays across the board, I actually think that Keenan Allen and Garrett Wilson probably outscore him in a full PPR. You picked the comment right under me twice. Please help. Should I trade Pierce, Christian Watson, and Kirk for Saquon? Half PPR. I have a bye, so I don't need him until week 16. What does the rest of your team look like? Because if you're going to trade away Pierce, Christian Watson, and Kirk, you better have Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase as your wide receivers, and you better have your other running back be Derrick Henry. Like, you better have a stacked roster, because if you're going to give away these 3 players, objectively, in a vacuum, these 3 players are significantly better to have on your roster than Saquon rest of the season. So you have to really, you got to really have some studs to not want to have these 3 on roster, especially for weeks 16 and 17. AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, or Chris Godwin? All of them. Play them all, Donald. Play them all. Palmer, okay, we took care of that. Latavius Murray or Bam Knight? I think I'll probably play Bam Knight this week. What's your thoughts on Fields, Andrew? He fully participated in practice Thursday and Friday. I'm firing him up as if he's fully healthy. He may have some, shoulder pain, because that's mainly the injury that he's dealing with. It is a pain tolerance situation. As long as they fire him up with a couple, painkillers, which I'm sure the NFL is more likely to do than any other league, he should be fine. I'm not worried about him. I have him as a top 5 quarterback this week. So for people asking like Carr or Fields, I'm 1,000% playing Fields over just about everyone at the position. Thank you. Debo or Watson this week? I'll take Watson. Greetings. Full PPR. Lenny, Pacheco, Zay Jones, or Gus Edwards. If I'm playing 2, I'm legitimately playing Zay Jones and Gus Edwards this week. Donald Smith says, but I have Justin Jefferson. At that point, Donald, if those are the 3 guys you legitimately have, if you're playing in a full PPR scoring format, I will play Amon-Ra St. Brown. If you're playing in a half PPR standard, I'll play AJ Brown. Thank you. Don't know what happened to my question. Can't find it anymore. Love the channel. My wide receiver ranks are absolutely, your wide receiver ranks are absolutely spot on. I would probably venture to say that's probably not true. I'd love my rankings to be spot on, but if I could predict the future, I wouldn't be here, guys. I would be in Vegas, just racking up cash. But anyway, answering your question: Barkley, Brian Robinson, Kirk, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson. Pick 3. I have to pick 3 out of these players. Are you serious? I don't like this question, but hey, if this is the scenario we got to live in, then so be it. I will. How do I want to do this? Goodness gracious. It's probably Barkley, Kirk, and Watson. I am legitimately in a position where I'm considering sitting Barkley and playing all 3 receivers. That's what I'll say. I am considering it heavily, but for right now, I'll just play my stud there. Jeff Wilson or Swift in a PPR? I'll take Swift there. Swift or Barkley? Barkley. Palmer or Jamal Williams in the full PPR scoring format? I'd probably still play Jamal Williams there. I think it's just tough not to start him there. Andrew, is Sean McVay's job done? I think he might retire, Mario, to be totally honest. I don't know if they're not going to fire him, right? He just won a Super Bowl last year. Typically, rule of thumb in the National Football League is after you win a Super Bowl, you are going to be the head coach of that football team for 4 more seasons minimum, because they typically re-sign you. But That is typically the rule of thumb. That's kind of what happened to Doug Peterson, if you guys remember a couple years ago with the Philadelphia Eagles, right? It took about 4 years and then boom, they got him out. I appreciate it. Okay, let me go ahead and let me answer some of these questions via super chats really quickly, catching up here. We had Will Taylor says Godwin, AJ Brown, St. Brown, or Chase start 3. If I'm picking between all those options, I would probably, in a half PPR, go AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, and Chase. In a full PPR, I would go Godwin, AJ Brown, and St. Brown. Hector Gonzalez says flex Pacheco, Rashad White, Murray, or Sutton. I will flex Rashad White out of that group. Rockout says PPR, pick 2 running backs, 2 flex. We have Kamara, Swift, Brian Robinson, Pacheco, Zay Jones. 2 running backs there. Brian Robinson, Alvin Kamara. Flex options, Zay Jones and Pacheco. Thank you. Stephen Drakes, hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. Says, would you drop OBJ to pick up P. Ryan? Yes, I would. I would absolutely pick up a handcuff rather than hold OBJ, hoping he signs to a team sooner rather than later. Greetings. A follow-up. Full PPR, Zay Jones or Gus Edwards? In a full PPR, probably play Zay Jones there. I think Gus Edwards is automatically going to get himself 12 fantasy points this week, 60 rushing yards and a touchdown. As to what he does extra on top of that is the question. I think I'd just rather take Zay Jones. 6 catches, 60 yards seems like a pretty reasonable week at a base minimum. Pick 1 tight end out of the 4. Pat Freiermuth, Dalton Schultz, George Kittle, Tyler Higbee. If I have to pick 1 tight end this week out of the bunch, I'm playing George Kittle. Then I'm playing Schultz second. Then I'm playing Freiermuth 4th and Tyler Higbee last. Actually, I'm dropping Tyler Higbee. Where are we at here? Hey, been watching for a long time. I have a really important question. I'm ready. Do I ready my Deshaun Watson for? Sorry. Do I ready? I think you meant do I trade my Deshaun Watson for Etienne and Pollard? Yeah, absolutely. I have Tua and I need running backs. 1,000%. Do this, dude. Asdin, 1,000%. Trade this now. Get rid of Watson immediately, my man. Amari Cooper or Dalvin Cook in a full PPR? I think I'm still leaning towards Dalvin Cook there, but could change by tomorrow morning. I don't know. I got to look into it a little bit more in terms of what Christian Darrisaw is in terms of health and whether or not he's going to play this week. Okay, we're going to get to some of these questions here. Just want to catch up a little bit here. Let's go, Beardo. Where's the lists? What are we on about? Alex, you good, my man? Those are always on Sunday. You got to remember, it's always on Sunday we have the lists, my man. Let's see here. Already started Ramondre in the flex. I have Etienne, Dalvin Cook, and Aaron Jones. Which 2 do I start out of the 3? Okay. If I'm starting 2 running backs out of the 3, I'm playing Dalvin and I'm playing Aaron Jones. Thank you. Alrighty. Now that we've caught up a little bit there, let me go ahead and see what kind of super chats were sent in. I do appreciate you guys doing so and checking that out, sending those in my direction, supporting the channel in that regard. We had a question from Joey Andrews. Thank you very much, Joey. I appreciate that. It says, pick 2 in a full PPR. Jeff Wilson, DeAndre Carter, Deontay Johnson, Matt Collins, Zonovan Knight. Of the group of players that we've mentioned here, in a full PPR scoring format, I feel most comfortable playing DeAndre Carter, first and foremost, and then it's a matter of whether I play Deontay Johnson or one of these running backs. Man, that's actually really tough. DeAndre Carter's for sure. I don't want to play Matt Collins against the Chargers. They got a really good secondary there. DeAndre Carter with one of those options. I think I probably play DeAndre Carter with Jeff Wilson Jr. there. Follow up. We have another question from Luis Castillo. Says, standard league, Lazard or Hill. Sorry. I'm starting Lazard and Hill. Have DPJ and Judy on the bench. Zay Jones and Corey Davis on the wire. Drop Lazard for either of them. I would drop Lazard for Zay Jones. And I would probably play him there. Yeah, that's probably the suggestion there. Thank you. True gentleman for you. Sends in a dono via Super Chat. Thank you very much. Says, full PPR. I need to start 1 running back, 1 wide receiver in a singular flex. I have Olave, I have Kirk, I have Barkley, I have Aaron Jones, I have Christian Watson, and I have Samaje Perine in case Mixon is out. Okay, so in terms of your question, I'm playing Aaron Jones as your RB1. I'm playing Christian Kirk as your wide receiver 1, and I'm playing Christian Watson as your flex. If, in fact, Mixon is out, I would play Samaje Perine over Watson in your flex. Thank you. Moving on. Different league. We have Rashad White, Gus Edwards, or Ayuk. If it's a half PPR, I'm playing Gus Edwards. If, in fact, we get into a situation where it's a full PPR and Deebo Samuel is inactive tomorrow, I will play Ayuk there. Thank you. Tom Foolery says, just wanted to say I wouldn't be in the playoff contention without the waiver videos you put up. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Drafted Rodgers. Now I have Fields and Geno. Congratulations. Hopefully we can not just get you into playoff contention, but bring home the chip, man. That's the entire goal. That's what I try to strive towards every day. That's all the work I put towards hopefully trying to get you guys in the right position. Who's your number one handcuff? What does that mean? As in available options, who's the best handcuff to potentially have? It's always going to be Alexander Mattison, I think. You know what I mean? Or technically, the number one handcuff in the NFL is technically Tony Pollard right now, right? Based on what he does. Let's see here, because he's the most, upside handcuff that could possibly exist. Christian Kirk or Pollard in a standard format? Wowie. I think I probably play Pollard there in the standard. But I'm not 100% certain. Man, that's tough. That's actually that's a question I want to plead the fifth on right now until I can think about it for a little bit longer. PPR 1 RB PPR 1 running back 2 and 1 flex. Pacheco, Zeke, Elliott, and Antonio Gibson. I will play Zeke as your RB2 and Pacheco as your flex. Thank you. Christopher Lippens says, deep league, PPR flex. I have to grab someone off the wire. Is it Jaylen Warren, Marvin Jones Jr., DJ Chark, Khalif Raymond, Sky Moore, or Quez Watkins? As of this moment, if I have to play one out of the group, I probably pick up Sky Moore and I play him. Because I'm expecting, again, Warren would be the play if Najee Harris is inactive. So let's put that first and foremost. But I'm assuming Najee's going to play tomorrow. So I think you probably need to pick up Warren just in case that doesn't happen. But Sky Moore would be the next potential play there. Gavin says, all right, I give up asking my question. Hey, Gavin, that's up to you, man. I was ready to answer it. Literally, I had scrolled down to the bottom just to answer questions. But hey, you know what? I'll do you a favor, Gavin. Let's see where you're at, my man. Gavin says, full PPR, pick 3. AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk. I'll play Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, and Christian Kirk out of the 3. I will bench Keenan Allen in that regard. Thank you, Gavin. Appreciate it. Again, guys, don't feel demoralized by me not answering your questions. I'm literally not purposely trying to avoid them. There's just a lot of questions, and there's one Andrew, right? And sometimes my ADHD will start tracking me in different directions, but as of this moment, I'm trying to balance it all as best as I can. You got to look at it from my perspective. So again, just be patient with it. Appreciate it. Pacheco or Lazard? I would not start Lazard if my life depended on it this week. I don't think Lazard could actually score 10 points, even if he tried this week. He'd have to score a touchdown. That's just purely it. And quite frankly, we haven't seen that for the last month. So it's a rough spot with Lazard. I'd rather play Pacheco there. It's a rough spot. Kirk or Watson in a standard league. Jeez, man. These are anything with Christian Kirk's tough because I think Christian Kirk actually scores a touchdown this week. That's why I'm having a tough time picking other options over him, or I'm hesitating to do so. Like this one, okay, at this point, Ando, I'll take Zeke because I know Zeke is a touchdown machine. He can be in that same ballpark as Kirk. But some of these other guys, like Kirk and Watson, sure, they're both touchdown upside, but who's going to get more yardage? Probably Watson, so we go with him, Higgins or Lamb in a full PPR, I'll take Lamb. Sorry if I missed the answer. I'm busy over here. Elliot, Gus Edwards was my suggestion, my man. Don't worry about anybody else on that list that you were mentioning earlier. Kenneth Walker or Montgomery, I'll take Kenneth Walker. T-Law or Geno for ceiling. I think T-Law has more ceiling. Watson or Jimmy G, I'll take Jimmy G. For the floor, specifically. Christopher McConnell says, Latavius Murray, Darius Slayton, George Pickens. I'll take George Pickens there. Thank you. Alrighty, let me go ahead. Let me see a couple more of these super chats that were sent in. We had Jason Simon says, I need a flex in a full PPR. Edwards, Brian Robinson, or Kieran Williams. out of the group, if Brian Robinson has no Antonio Gibson active tomorrow, I will play Brian Robinson. Otherwise, I will go with Gus Edwards there. Thank you. Bo Center says, half PPR, Pacheco, Lenny, Rashad White. Out of the three, I'll play Rashad White. Follow up. Also, play JMO or drop Cup for Cobb. Who's JMO? Am I crazy? Who the heck is... Are we talking about Jamison Williams? Are we playing Jamison Williams, Cobb, Chark, Sky Moore, or Landry? Is that the question? If that's the question, I'd rather play Sky Moore. He's had 5 receptions each of the last 2 weeks. I think they'll definitely have to pass the ball a pretty sizable amount. Also, grab Pirine or start over if Mixon is out. Yes, I would grab Pirine, and I would play him over the rest of those running backs that you have available, Bo, if in fact Mixon is out. Anthony says, full PPR, start 3. Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Jones, Etienne, Walker. If I'm starting 3 of these options, no joke, I would play Henry, Jones, and Walker. Markel Adams says White or Gus Edwards this week in a PPR. That's a tough one. In a full PPR, I think I'd probably play Rashad White. In a half standard, I would probably play Edwards. But in a full, you go Rashad White. Paul sends in a question, says, hey, Andrew, in a full PPR scoring format, should I flex Jeff Wilson, Rashad White, or Zonovan Knight? Okay, so of the 3, full PPR, Rashad White is my number 1 suggestion. Number 2 would be Jeff Wilson. Number 3 would be Zonovan Knight. Because, again, I do expect Rashad White to continue to get a pretty heavy workload within that offense. Also, your follow-up question to that, Paul, was Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. Again, Justin Fields has proven to me that he absolutely needs to be started in every single capacity in which he's available and ready to go. And this week, considering the last 2 days have been full participations of practice, we're rolling with the one and only Justin Fields. All right. Just got to break my neck there. Keep it moving. Here we go. Let me pop. You know what? Before we get to popping the chat up on screen really quickly, just want to remind you guys, if you guys have not yet already, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Click the like button down below. Again, how many likes do we have on the video or on the live stream so far? We have 365 of you, one for each day of the year. If you guys could do me a solid, click that like button down below. It takes 2 seconds out of your day, and I can assure you it helps me out a lot in terms of continuing to grow the channel, continue to bring you guys content on a daily basis, whether it is waiver wires, rankings, must starts, random, live streams throughout the week. Not really random. Typically, it's a Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday kind of vibe, but to bring those to you guys, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Also, if you guys haven't checked out PrizePicks, you guys want to play daily fantasy, you can go ahead and check out the link down in the description. Again, I have been on a little bit of a hot streak via the NBA. Usually, right, I don't talk about the NBA often, but as of late, your boy has kind of put together a little bit of a hot streak here. Let me actually see this, because like last night I had the last couple nights actually, in terms of NBA, they've kind of been looking good here. Let me actually pop this up on screen so you guys get a little bit of a perspective as to what I've been getting into in terms of some of these PrizePick entries as of late. Let me throw this up on the second monitor here. Maybe the third monitor. Actually, I don't know about that. Let me see here. All right, so if I pop open this display capture, so these are some of the PrizePick entries I have for this week. Just so we're all on the same page, okay? Really quickly, let me actually move the display capture here and probably make this a little bit, maybe a little bit bigger. So going into this weekend, right? If you guys didn't watch yesterday's video, these are the entries that I have going into this week, okay? I called this one in specific the running back touchdown slip. I mean, again, 4 out of the last 5 games, Jamal Williams has scored a rushing touchdown. I expect him to find the end zone again against Jacksonville. 4 out of the last 5 games, Kenneth Walker's found the end zone. Sometimes in multiple capacities, I expect him to find the end zone this week, whether it's passing, rushing, or receiving. These guys are fantastic. As for the start your studs play for this week, as I mentioned yesterday, Jalen Waddle and Travis Etienne. He has surpassed this number of 68.5 receiving yards in 7 of the last 8 games that he has played with a healthy Tua Tagovailoa. The only game in which he didn't surpass it, he put up 66 receiving yards. Again, this is an automatic. I always take Waddle every single week I possibly can. Travis Kelce, he has surpassed this number in, 5 out of the last 6 games that he has played. The only reason he didn't surpass it last week, it was the Rams, and they didn't really have to fire him up in that capacity. Last time he took on the Cincinnati Bengals, he had himself 10 catches, over 100 yards receiving, and a touchdown in that playoff game against them. Should be able to fire him up. This was the revenge game slip that I put together. AJ Brown versus his former team, Deshaun Watson versus his former team. I'm taking more on 5.5 receptions. As for Deshaun Watson, I'm going less than 247.5 receiving yards. I think this is a very high number. And when you compare that to a lot of other quarterbacks in the National Football League, yes, Tua was able to get 280 passing yards in just the first half against that Houston Texans secondary. But you have to put it into perspective the offenses that are in play here. The Cleveland Browns run the ball more than just about anybody in the entire National Football League and will continue to do so. So, again, I'm expecting Deshaun Watson to be fine, but this number is relatively high for my blood. The other potential play would be my must-start list. Again, this is probably the number that I'm most confident in. I think Gus Edwards smashes this number. If anything, I'm probably going to put together a slip with Gus Edwards and Jalen Waddle alone in those two numbers and send that. Unfortunately, earlier this week, I thought Ramondre Stevenson would get the job done with over 31.5 receiving yards. Unfortunately, with 6 receptions, man only got 24 receiving yards. That is a 4-yard per reception average. Pretty brutal. But again, we expect him to catch a bunch of passes, but either way. Speaking of, a couple of the pass entries that your boys made, okay? So yesterday, pretty good here. Now, in terms of Devontae Parker killing me and, Mr. Josh Allen killing me, fine. But hey, listen, some of these NBA picks, they've started to really rack up for me as of late. Even when I scroll down here, I've been playing some of these NBA plays. Jaren Jackson could have made this an even better play, but I got my money back because it's a flex play. Again, you get 2.25 times. If you get them all right, you get your money back. If you get at least 2 out of the 3, I'll take that. That's pretty much how it plays. And then the taco from Tuesday, Jeremy Grant popping off. Pretty good performances there. Anyway, guys, if you guys are interested, check that out today. There's a link down in the description via Prize Picks. You can go ahead, put together some entries in regards to potentially some of the plays that you can make via the NFL. I mean, dude, there is a lot. I mean, actually, you know what? Maybe I use a different. Yeah, let's use something different here. Give me a second. In terms of some of the technical entries that you could potentially make in this week, I mean, again, there's a lot of players. Literally almost every quarterback is here. There's so many rushing, potentials there where you can go after. I mean, shoot, even if you don't even want to talk about the NFL, there's college football that's going on today. There's field goals made, passing attempts, passing interceptions, rushing attempts, defensive sacks, man. Check that out today. Use promo code Andrew. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, guys. Alrighty, let's go ahead. Let's get back to answering questions via the live stream and close out today's stream by answering y'all's questions. I did see Yapshira sent in a donation. Thank you very much. Yapshira says full PPR, Watson or Lawrence this week. I'll take Trevor Lawrence. Follow up, Evans or Olave. I will take Olave this week. Actually, you will have an opportunity with those two players to figure out if Marshawn Lattimore's playing. If Marshawn Lattimore does end up playing, then yes, you play Olave. Otherwise, if he doesn't play, you play Evans. Thank you. Alrighty. Where art thou? Questions. Let me go ahead. Let me pop them up on screen. Boom. Here we go. Let's get it going. Patriots offense is rough. Yeah, dude. I thought, the reaction that Mac Jones had on the sideline, where he's completely lighting up the ear of his offensive coordinator, saying pass the effing ball, that gives you a little bit of an idea as to what exactly is going on, huh? Like people were saying on Thursday night stream that, hey, Mac Jones is terrible. It's really not Mac Jones, man. It's the fact that Joe Judge is his quarterback coach and Matt Patricia is the offensive coordinator. You can't win games like that. And somehow they have, but I mean, you can't pass the ball and win with that kind of a offensive coordinator, quarterback, coach, duo. Let's see here. As Dean says, hey man, I really appreciate you helping me out. With the trade question, here's another one that I have. When I get Pollard, do I start Zeke, Etienne, or Pollard? I'd play these two. Zeke, Etienne, Pollard. If you have to start one, it's probably just playing Etienne, but otherwise I'd like to play Zeke and Etienne as the duo there going forward. Kmet or Foster Moreau? I have Foster Moreau one spot ahead of Cole Kmet this week. Higbee or Evan Ingram? I'll take Evan Ingram there over Higbee. Higbee did not even, run a single route last week. He was just a blocking threat. So I assume they're going to continue to keep him as such. Fields or Watson? I'm going to go with Fields. Rachaad White, Zeke, or Christian Watson, full PPR. At this point, I'd probably go Christian Watson there, and then Zeke second, then Rachaad White third. Bam, Corey, or Warren? Warren only gets to play if, in fact, Najee Harris is inactive. Otherwise, between these 2.5 PPR, I go Bam, and then I go Corey. Justin Fields or Lamar? I'll take Justin Fields. Evans is going to going to eat this time? I mean, dude, history says that he's not, and history always repeats itself some way or another. G Squared says no question. I appreciate that, G Squared. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey Andrew, I can't decide between Lamar and Fields, not PPR. Lamar is frustrating. Yeah, trust me. Just go with Fields. Go with Fields. Their defense is carrying. Yeah, you're right, Tom Foolery. You're absolutely right. The New England Patriots defense is carrying them, and then their running game at times when it works. All right, let's see here. Stephen Drakes says one more, my brother. We have the question between, would you play Watson or Pittman in a half PPR? I would much rather play Christian Watson. Again, guys, I'm going to continue to rank Christian Watson and play him every single week until the wheels fall off. That's it, purely. Browns over Bucks defense this week. I have the Bucks defense one spot ahead of the Browns, but I don't mind playing the Browns. Again, they're right next to each other. And quite frankly, they probably score similar numbers. It's just a matter of like who ends up getting that defense a touchdown. The likelihood is probably in the favor of the Browns, if anything. Standard scoring, Zeke or Kamara, 1,000% playing Zeke. Wesley, no problem. Glad I could help. Brian Hayes says, Ayuk worth a flex spot in competition with DeAndre Swift? Yes, I would play Ayuk there. Rashad White or Deontay Johnson, full PPR? I'd play Rashad White. I like Deontay Johnson, but he hasn't finished as a top 36 wide receiver. In a full PPR, it's probably different. Let me see here. I can actually give you guys the exact number of times. So in a full PPR scoring format, Deontay Johnson, Deontay Johnson this season. Where is he? Oh, I have to change the position. Deontay Johnson in a full PPR scoring format has finished as a top 36 wide receiver 3 times this season. It was week 1, week 3, and week 5. Outside of that, he has finished as the number 34, 40, 26, 72, 36, 43, 45, 49, 41, 57, and 45 ranked wide receiver in those given weeks. Not interested in playing Deontay Johnson. Appreciate it. Michael Barton says, would you start Jameson Williams now that he's active? No, I would not. Flex Rashad White or Jameson Williams? I would play Rashad White. Listen, I like Jameson Williams. He's going to be a good football player, but it doesn't mean that he is going to see an ample amount of targets in this offense in the given week. This is a run-first attack, and Amon-Ra St. Brown absolutely dominates the receiving game. You know, getting himself over the last course of probably the last month, 40% of that work. Sure, Jameson Williams will adopt all of the value that a Josh Reynolds and or, DJ Chark has had in the last couple weeks, but it's not enough for me to be convinced to start him over a guy like Rashad White. Thank you. Rashad White, Pierce, or Watson? I'll play Watson there. Thank you. Zach T. Jacob Anders says Swift or Patterson? I'll take Patterson there. Follow up, Christian Watson or Zay Jones? I will take Christian Watson. Thank you. Never thought I would ask this, but Lamar or Goff? I would play Lamar. Lamar had a good week last week. Did he not? Am I crazy? Hold up. I thought Lamar was good last week. I know he plays against Denver, but hey, Denver's offense is terrible. It's just going to give more opportunities for, the one and only to keep moving. Yeah, Lamar had 23.06 last week, 89 rushing yards. Those numbers, hey, you're not going to find them from Goff, especially in an offense where when they get down into the red zone, Goff will rarely throw a touchdown. In fact, I think in the last 3 weeks now, Goff has thrown 2 passing touchdowns in comparison to like 8 rushing touchdowns. It's a crazy, split there. Alex says top 5 defenses. Alex, we'll talk about that tomorrow morning. As of right now, I think it's Baltimore, Dallas as 1 and 2. Who else is in that conversation? Seattle's up there. Who was another defense that was in that conversation? Something like that. We'll talk about it tomorrow morning. Zeke or Debo, half PPR Zeke. Appreciate it. Okay, guys. We are close to coming to our conclusion of today's live stream. So if you guys have not yet already, let me see here. How many likes do we have on today's video? We have 217. Again, there's 339 of you. If you could do me a solid, click that like button down below. It takes 2 seconds out of your day. Would greatly appreciate that in terms of continuing to support the content and the channel. Is Quez Watkins an option this week? He is super touchdown dependent. I wouldn't really consider that the case there, Daniel. Edie exec says full PPR, Swift, Rashad White, or grab Gus Edwards off the waiver. At this point in a full PPR, I'm fine running with Rashad White. Gus Edwards would be the preferred in a half or standard format, but considering your full PPR, you're fine with this. Half PPR, Justin Jefferson, Chase, Brown, Godwin. Must win week this week. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you. Okay, so Jefferson is an automatic play. AJ Brown, automatic play. And considering it's a half PPR, I'll take Chase as the third option there. So these three, I will bench Godwin in this regard. Someone said Fields or Burrow. I'll take Fields this week. Thank you. Any news on Mixon? Nothing yet. We'll know by tomorrow morning for sure, though. Starting Jamal over Swift, right? Yes. Absolutely correct there, Trey. Absolutely correct. Elijah Moore or Burks? I'll take Burks. Should I drop Pickens and pick up Jameson Williams? Nope. I will keep George Pickens. AJ Brown revenge game. Yes, absolute revenge game. Christian McCaffrey or Jamal Williams PPR. I'll take Christian McCaffrey there. Odin, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Odin, is that your actual name? Is your actual name Odin? Odin Mowry? Odin's hey, that's a badass name, my man. Everett or Komet? I'll take Komet. Zeke, Cordero Patterson, Knight, Fournette, Rashad White, pick 3. If I'm picking 3 of these options, legitimately, not even doubting it. Rashad White, number 1. Zeke, number 2. And it's between Cordero Patterson and Fournette, number 3. I think it's probably in your best interest to just coop up all the Tampa Bay backs and roll them out. I'll go Fournette, White, and Zeke. Coop them up and send them out there. You will never miss in that regard. You know what I mean? All right. Couple super chats were sent in. Let me go ahead and catch up on these. Drew F, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Says half PPR, Gus, Deontay Johnson, AJ Dillon, Zonovan Knight, or Zay Jones. I'll take Gus Edwards there. Thank you very much, Drew. Sleepy Mo says PPR, I need 2 running backs and a flex. We have Brian Robinson, Barkley, Pierce, Rashad White, Christian Watson, Deontay Johnson, Joshua Palmer. In a full PPR scoring format, I would play Brian Robinson and Barkley. I will follow that up with playing Christian Watson in the flex. Thank you very much there, Sleepy Mo. Steven Watson, thank you very much, Steven, says full PPR, Hunt, Pierce, Murray, or a chance of Coleman. At that point, I would rather play Dameon Pierce out of the group. Thank you very much, Steven. CBZ has sent in a donation, but there wasn't anything attached to it. CBZ, let me see what you had here. CBZ. Where art thou, CBZ? Nothing? Nothing, CBZ? All right, well, I see it, but there wasn't anything attached. Jacob Ander, we already took care of that question. Start Geno Smith or Tua Tagovailoa. At this point, I think I'm going to play Tua there this week. I think Geno is in a position to where, yes, he probably scores, but it's going to be a one-sided affair. It's not going to have to be a back-and-forth contest in comparison to what Tua is going to have to deal with all game. Ben Roethlisberger or Drew Brees? After the stunt that Drew Brees pulled yesterday with that terrible promotion, I'll take... No, actually, I honestly, if we're talking about both these guys, Drew Brees is the better player by far and away. It's not even close. Jimmy G or Kirk Cousins this week? I'll take Jimmy G. Let's see here. Kevin James says Garrett Wilson, Ezekiel Elliott, or Jamar Chase. Pick 2. In a full PPR, I'll take Jamar Chase and I'll take Garrett Wilson. Pavan says of these 3, I think I answered this before, but I picked Hunt. I think Hunt's probably the best expectation. Didn't expect an answer on my comment. LOL, you're the GOAT. Vic, where's your question? Oh, you didn't expect... Okay, I got you. Yeah, you're good to go. Knight or Burks or Davis? I'll take Burks. Pierce, Pacheco, or Burks in a half PPR scoring format with those 3 options. I'll take the 2 running backs. Garrett Wilson or Noah Fant? I'm assuming is what your question is. I'll take Garrett. 100%, no questions asked. Justin Fields or Lamar? Justin Fields. Again, guys, tomorrow morning, okay, just a reminder, tomorrow morning from 8 a.m., maybe even earlier, if Andrew can wake up in time, because again, Saturday nights usually takes me a while to finish all the rankings. I don't sleep very much on Saturday nights because of all the stress and all that kind of stuff. So I would probably venture to say that probably at around 7:50, 8 o'clock, what the heck is that? 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. From 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., 2 hours, I will be live streaming here with all up-to-date rankings. There's no weather concerns for tomorrow's games. Thank you, fantasy gods. I appreciate that. And we'll be in a position to answer everybody's questions and get that going. So at this moment, if you have any questions that need to be answered, they'll most likely be answered on screen with the rankings tomorrow. Outside of that, we'll continue to answer questions here for the next 10 minutes, and then Andrew's got to go to get everything ready for tomorrow. Tua or Fields? I'll take Fields. Rashad White or Olave? I'll take Rashad White. Rashad White or Kamara. In a full PPR, I'm still taking Rashad White there. P. Ryan or Garrett Wilson? Garrett Wilson. If in fact Mixon is out, I'll take P. Ryan. This was my Question, full PPR, Sanders, Olave, or JT Kamara start 3. Oh, I understand, CBs. Thank you. So, to answer your question, Jonathan Taylor's an automatic start, and so is Sanders. At that point, I would probably play Kamara over Olave. So, I'll go Sanders, Kamara, JT. Thank you. Mark Andrews or Alvin Kamara? Mark Andrews. Jameson Williams worth an ad? Yes. He was worth an ad 10 weeks ago. I'm not even joking. We were mentioning him like 10 weeks ago or something like that. Nah, probably not 10. Maybe like 8. PPR rest of the season, Rashad White or Dameon Pierce? Rashad White. Komet or Foster Moreau? I have Foster Moreau higher ranked this week. Burks, Ayuk, ETN. I will take ETN in the flex this week. Cousins or Geno? Give me Geno. Camaro or Rashad White? I'll take Rashad White. Pacheco or DPJ? I'll take Pacheco. Mike Evans, Debo, Garrett Wilson. Give me Garrett Wilson there, Mike Alonso. Thoughts on Fields rest of the season? If he's healthy, he's the top 5 quarterback rest of the season in fantasy. Full PPR. Okay, we took care of that. White, Montgomery, Najee. Najee's active, he plays. If not, it's Montgomery. Thank you. Seth says, half PPR, start 3. Sutton, Lazard, Fournette, Rashad White, Rashad White. Why do people keep putting White instead of Knight? I think this is Zonovan Knight is what you meant to say. In a half PPR, 2 running backs in a flex. The running back that I'm playing, the 2 running backs I'm playing are these 2. I'm playing Fournette and White, and the wide receiver that I'm playing is Sutton. Sorry. White, Fournette, Sutton. That's it. That's what I would do. Fields or Hurts. I'd rather play Jalen Hurts. Yes. At that point, it's Jalen Hurts. I think the only quarterbacks by tomorrow that I will have ranked higher than Fields are Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert. Tomorrow, Justin Fields will be my number 3 ranked quarterback ahead of Burrow, Lamar, Mahomes, Watson, Brady, whatever else is remaining there in that category. You know what I mean, guys? Thank you. Appreciate it. Barkley is still an okay play with the recent performances in a tough matchup. His offensive line's beat up, so he is a okay play. He's not a great play. He needs to find the end zone to be a good play this week. Kieran Williams on my bench, full PPR. Could also go with Gus. I think I'm considering the Gus, but hey, Tyrone, the thing is, I probably would just tell you to start your stud of Barkley and just roll with it and just hope for the best, because there's more of an upside for Barkley to go for 20 points than Gus at this point. But no, I'm not playing Kieran Williams. Zeke, Mike Evans, Debo, Josh Palmer start 2. I'll play Zeke and I'll play Josh Palmer there. Alrighty. Do appreciate y'all coming out here today. Let me see if there's any more super chats. About 248 of you have clicked the like button. If you guys can do me a favor, click that like button. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. Continues to allow me to continue to make content on a daily basis, on top of continue to bring you guys live streams every weekend to answer your guys' questions and such, I do appreciate you guys coming out here today. In about 5 minutes here, I'll be cueing the music to then transition us out of today's episode. Do not forget, tomorrow morning, we'll be live streaming here on the channel from 8 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I know I've mentioned that 12 and a half times already, but hey, just want to make sure that if anybody new hopped in, we're all aware of the situation. Also, if you guys haven't checked out Prize Picks, again, I made a bunch of entries. You guys can get a little bit of a wider scope as to why I've made those entries in yesterday's video. Do appreciate that. So if in fact you guys are interested in playing daily fantasy, be sure to check out the link down in the description. Use promo code Andrew when you sign up today. And when you do so, your first time deposit is immediately doubled up to $100. So if you deposit $100, you're given $100 of bonus. If you deposit $20, you're given $20 of bonus. Check that out. Make some plays and have fun via Prize Picks. Thank you. Garrett Wilson, Ezekiel Elliott, or Jamar Chase, pick 2 in a PPR. I think I answered this, Kevin. It was Garrett Wilson and Jamar Chase as my suggestions there. Anonymous, hope you're doing well. Thank you. Struggling on tight end, Higbee, Hill, Tunyon, or Fant. As of this week, as of those players, I would much rather play. With Juwan Johnson now, I think there's a chance that Hill could be a good play this week, actually. I think I might just play Hill. It's either Hill or Fant. Fant's probably the safer option in a full PPR, half PPR. Hill is probably the better option in a standard. So let's just play Fant for right now just to be safe. Trees says full PPR, DPJ, Patterson, Burks. Pick 1. I'll play Burks this week in a full PPR. Wilson or Lockett. I'll take Garrett Wilson over Tyler Lockett this week. JJ52 says start Zonovan Knight, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, full PPR. I'll play George Pickens this week. Joshua Palmer or over Mike Evans. Yes. Because again, you won't know if Sean Lattimore is playing by tomorrow, considering Mike Evans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play on Monday night. So you're just safer off just playing this. Pacheco, Jeff Wilson, Rachaad White. Which do I start? Pacheco and Rachaad White there. Thank you. All righty. Appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. Rachaad White or Olave in a half PPR. I'll take White. Devonta Smith, Trey Burks, or Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'll take Devonta Smith there. Evans, Peoples-Jones, Nico Collins, or Deontay Johnson. Pick one half PPR. In a half PPR scoring format, I will play Donovan Peoples-Jones, then Evans, then Nico Collins, then Deontay Johnson. If Evans does not, you won't know. So you just kind of have, if you want to risk it for the biscuit, just, by the way, just so we're all on the same page, okay? I want to be on the same page as you guys, just so we're aware, okay? I'm going to look up Mike Evans' fantasy points scored against the Saints as of his career, okay? Just giving you guys some perspective, okay? Half PPR. This is why I'm so worried, okay? New Orleans, earlier this season, 7.6 fantasy points, okay? Then last season, 11.8, 1.9. Okay, let's go to 2020 against New Orleans. 6.7, 8.4. Okay, let's go back to 2019. 0 and 8.9. All right, let's go back to 2018. At that point, finally, 10.6. Another week of double-digit points. Marshawn Lattimore is quite literally the kryptonite of Mike Evans. So if you want to risk it, you can risk it, but I'm not feeling it, guys. I'm not feeling it, Mr. Krabs. JJ52 says week 13 defensive rankings. Tomorrow we'll have official defensive rankings throughout the course of tomorrow's live stream, along with rankings. So be patient. We'll have that ready to go by tomorrow. Brady versus the Saints or Mike White versus the Vikings, says X's and O's. I'll take Mike White there. I'll take Mike White. Is that PPR points? No, that is half PPR points. If you want me to check out PPR points, I can. Let me. So in a PPR format, let's see here. Mike Evans versus New Orleans, PPR. Earlier this season, 9.1. Last season, 12.8, 2.4. 2020, 7.2, 10.4. 2019, 0 and 10.9. So in a full PPR, he's far more forgiving. So if you want to play him in a full PPR, fine. But again, I always try to play half because whether you play full PPR, standard, meeting everyone in the middle. Thank you. Appreciate it. Ayuk over Debo? Yes, absolutely. Cortland Sutton or Zay Jones? Give me Zay Jones. Goff or the Jets quarterback? Give me the Jets quarterback. You know what? Let me think about this. Yeah, give me the Jets quarterback. I don't love it, but I'll take it. Rachaad White or Najee Harris? If Najee Harris is active, he's playing. Pickens or Evans? Yeah, I'll take just Pickens over Evans. I don't want to risk him, man, in a half PPR. Palmer or Burks? I will take Josh Palmer. Chat with you tomorrow. Appreciate it, Lou. Lou, if you had a question, Lou, I can probably answer it right now, my man. Lou says, do you put the players that have the easiest schedule? Wait, what does it say? Do you put in players that have the easiest schedule or put in players that need to win to make the playoffs or both? Studs are always plays. What's your thoughts? I don't actually base it on those two metrics alone. There are a lot of variables that go into a given matchup, right? Opportunity in terms of attempts, targets, red zone opportunity in that regard as well. Coaching, specific play calling tendencies, how likely they are to do specific things. Matchups obviously do play a variable. Willingness to win. Again, I think the narrative of a team not wanting to win is at times unfounded in the NFL. I'll tell you why. In the NFL, if you go out there and if you play terrible football for 4 quarters straight for multiple weeks as an actual individual football player, I can assure you that someone on film is watching that, whether that's in your own organization or on another organization. And it is going to hurt your potential for your career if you're not going 100% every single Sunday. There's a reason why guys will play in Houston for 4 years, then end up elsewhere. Because even though you played in Houston and you were terrible, it wasn't because you weren't given the effort and you weren't a good player every single play. It was just because, again, the entire organization doesn't really help their players win games, quite frankly. So I expect, whether or not people need to win games, like I expect DJ Moore, weeks 15 through 17, to still ball out. Because, again, He goes out there because he loves to play and he needs to make some money and probably meet some incentives, right? He needs to surpass 1,000 receiving yards to get that extra money. You feel me? All right, guys. I do appreciate y'all. I'm going to close it out there with that final statement. Tomorrow we'll be back. Until next time, guys, I do appreciate y'all coming out here today. For those of you who sent in donations via Super Chat, all that kind of jazz. And until tomorrow, I'll see you guys. Peace.